Hey guys, welcome in. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Hope you're having a great Friday. Thanks for spending it with us. We got a big show for you today. We're going to have Lee Markham, the former CEO of Jack's Donuts. And most of you guys probably know, about 10 years ago, Jack's exploded in popularity. There were franchises all across the state. Lee Markham became one of the most famous business figures in all of Indiana. And over the past several years, Jack's really COVID on, hit very, very hard times. And Lee Markham was ultimately ousted as CEO of Jack's Donuts. It was a business that had been in his family for generations, literally. And he had hard times. And now he's back. He's got a new business venture. Lee's going to be with us today. We're going to talk all about the rise and the fall of Jack's Donuts, an Indiana institution. We're going to talk about this new business that he's starting. It's a really interesting story. That's coming up in a little bit. Also, Stuart Mora. He is with the Indiana Organizing Project, and they are committed to getting the ICE detention facility in Miami County shut down. They got a series of vigils. They're calling them vigils. Some might call them protests that are taking place across the state of Indiana this weekend. We're going to talk about why they want the ICE detention facility shut down, how they would deal with illegal immigration, how they would deal with the TPS people, how they would deal with the border. Fascinating conversation. I know the YouTube chat, and I know you guys are going to be fired up about that one coming up in a little bit as well. So a big day, two big interviews coming your way today here on the Rob Kendall Show. Nobody does Indiana news, politics, and government like us. But we're going to start today with some of the best audio from across the fruited plain. You know, our bread is buttered with Indiana news, politics, and government. But we recognize there's all sorts of things going on around the world, and we would be remiss if we didn't cover as many of those things as we possibly could. And we usually try to do that in one big old segment, taking some of the best audio from across the fruited plain, and we play it for you and talk about big issues facing the rest of the nation. And it's a day that ends in Y, so it's... Our news is something wacky that involves Donald Trump. Right? It's just, it never ceases to amaze you. And yesterday, Donald Trump, look, with all the issues going on in the world, the president got down to business, solving one of our nation's top crises, changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America. And the story comes to us from Fox News, many other media outlets covering the story. I don't know where you guys are at, but, you know, whether it's Gulf of America, Lake of America, just seems like other things we should maybe be focused on. Now, this all stems out of this trade battle with Canada. And now the United States wanted concessions from the Canadians. They couldn't reach an agreement. And so then Donald Trump said, in regards to not being able to reach that agreement, 50% tariff on Canadian goods such as wine, furniture, dairy products. Canada's responded, said, okay, you want to play that way beginning September 8th. We're going to invoke a huge tariff on a bunch of your stuff too. So all that means is things are going to get more expensive. And as a result of this back and forth, the president decided he'd had enough. And his response was, well, we're going to change the name of Lake Ontario. From Fox News, President Donald Trump on Thursday signed an executive order renaming Lake Ontario to Lake America, a move that came amid a trade war with Canada. Quote, Lake of America was something I've been thinking about for a long time, actually. As you know, we took something called the Gulf of Mexico. We changed it, and now it's very routinely called the Gulf of America. I don't know. I think a lot of people still call it the Gulf of Mexico. The president said he's directed the Interior Secretary, Doug Burgum, and the department to update the Geographic Names Information System to reflect the name change. The order called Lake Ontario a, quote, tremendous asset. That sounds exactly how Trump would say it, too. It's a tremendous asset. I love that the actual orders now just sound the way Trump would talk to the United States. Here is the president of the United States talking about why Lake Ontario, now Lake America.
We're going to be changing the name of Lake Ontario, effective immediately, to Lake America. We lose on average over the last 15 years $60 billion a year carrying Canada, so we just can't do it anymore. We love the people of Canada. I don't think their representatives do an appropriate job. Maybe they'll change. I really don't know. I mean, it doesn't make much difference. But we can't let the whole Canadian thing has been going on for decades, and it has to come to a stop. So we're going to be doing tariffs on their cars that are coming in at a substantial level, because we want to make the cars here. We don't want if they can make their own cars if they want, and they can continue to make their cars for Canada, but we don't want them to make cars for the United States of America. It's very simple. Likewise, many other products. So the lake change, Lake of America, was something I've been thinking about for a long time, actually. As you know, we took something called the Gulf of Mexico, we changed it, and now it's very routinely the Gulf of America. So if you think about it, we have a Gulf and we have a lake. Now all we need is an ocean. So maybe we'll have to change the name of the Atlantic and or the Pacific. Maybe we'll change them both.
What are we doing? Like that is just my broader question. What are we doing? What are we trying to accomplish here? You're going to change, is the theory, you're going to change the name, and then Canada's going to be like, oh man, we really screwed up now. America won't refer to it as Lake Ontario anymore, which, as we know, just like with the Gulf of Mexico, Americans are still going to refer to it as the Gulf of Mexico, and they're going to refer to it as Lake Ontario. What are we accomplishing? And here in a little bit, we've got a story about how Gen Z voters, especially Gen Z voters who voted for Trump, are turning from Trump. They're not necessarily heading to the Democrats, but they're turning away from Trump in record numbers. Of all the voting blocks, it is the Gen Z voter more than any other voting group who has left the president. Trump did very well, especially by previous election standards, with young people. He got something like 44% of the vote, which is outstanding for people under a certain age. But the number one issue for Gen Z voters, as I think it would be for most Americans, is the price of stuff. And it's one thing to say, which was sort of the original intent of the tariffs with Canada and Mexico, look, we got to do something about the drugs coming into this country. We've got to do something about drugs that are killing young people. And I don't think any reasonable person had a problem with that, saying, Mexico, Canada, you got to help us stop the drugs coming into this country that are killing young people. I don't think anybody has a problem with that. I think if you said, hey, you might have to pay a little bit more for stuff for a little while to force these countries to do something about that, probably a shared sacrifice many of us are willing to make. But it quickly turned into something much bigger and certainly much broader than just a war on drugs. And I think people kind of look at what's going on and say, why? If affordability is the issue, which it is, and it's the reason you were elected, it was, why are you doing these things that seemingly make it harder to address those issues? That not only doesn't lower the cost of things, it actually raises the cost of things. Tariffs are taxes. Tariffs are taxes. And tariffs have to be a balancing act, a way to leverage certain behaviors. But we live in a world economy now. It's not 1929, 1945. It's 2026. We live in a world economy. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we don't even do. Screw do it well. We don't even do it. And simply placing tariffs on these other countries is not going to make us do it. It seems like that he just keeps refusing to address or doing stuff that is making harder to accomplish the issues that got him elected. None of this makes any sense to me. Look, I'm not sure it makes sense to me if there wasn't inflation. I'm not sure why you would do stuff that makes things more expensive for your country. I'm not sure why you would do that to begin with. But, if you had some sort of ironclad strategy about making things better in America, okay, a lot of this stuff, I don't see it. But you can't do it now at a time where there continue to be record high prices across industries in this country. Especially when you were elected, the primary reason you were elected was the price of everything. The other thing I think that's frustrating to people is it seems like it's about him. It seems like it's about, when you're talking about, well, what's my response? I'm going to name it Lake of America or Lake America. But why? What does that accomplish? It sometimes comes off like a giant game where he's more interested in entertaining himself, appeasing himself, rather than policies that help the American people, which brings you to my second audio today. John Bolton, former head of the UN, ambassador of the UN under Bush. I believe he was the NSA director under Trump. Now, look, Bolton's had a bit of a sordid past himself. He recently pled guilty to felony charges related to the classified documents. So he's not a choir boy or an angel in all of this. He hates Trump. But he told this interesting story about his time working for Trump. And one time he walked in while Trump was tweeting. And I think this is pretty insightful to the way Trump operates. Take a listen.
In the first term, I was in the Oval Office one day, and I walked in to tell him something, and Trump was in the middle of dictating a tweet to Dan Scavino, who was his tweeter-in-chief. Now he's Deputy White House Chief of Staff. That's how you rise in the Trump administration. But anyway, Trump's dictating, and he turns to Scavino at one point and says, capitalize every word in that last sentence. And then he turns to me and he said, you know why I do that? I said, no, why? And he said, because it drives them crazy. And that's what Trump is doing to Canada. Lake America, forget Lake Ontario. He's trolling them, and you can't let that get to you.
Now, you guys know I love a good troll. I love a good campaign that's filled with trolling. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and sit in judgment of that, but you can't do it in governance. Like you have to think that there are 350-ish million people that are dependent upon you to get it together, that are dependent upon you to put the policies, the country, the results ahead of yourself. You have to behave as President of the United States in a business-like manner. It's a huge reason there are so many people who may agree with a lot of his policies that don't like Trump. It's the personality, it's the behavior. Now, he's president. He can do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to care. He can't run again. But if you actually care about the American people, you've got to be able to coalition build. And going out of your way to deliberately, and this is not saying give in on your principles. It's not saying give in on your deeply held beliefs, things you believe about the government. It's not saying that at all. When you're going out of your way, though, when you're making a point, do this because I know it'll piss them off, whoever them may be, which is what he's doing with Lake Ontario. It's what he did with Gulf of Mexico. It's what Bolton laid out there. I don't know how that helps you accomplish what you should be there to do, which is create better public policy for the American people. Yeah, the thing about our show that a lot of you guys love is, our slogan here, we hate all these people equally. And so we can tell you where we think one side's screwing up, and then we pivot and tell you where we think the other side is screwing up. And what's fascinating on the Democrat side is they got a big problem, which is they've gotten in bed with a bunch of maniacs, the DSA people. And now that they're in bed, the establishment, the power structure is in bed with the maniacs. They know, and they're in bed with these maniacs because they believe the power structure, the establishment people believe it will help them sustain their own careers. If I'm just nice to these people, if I just play ball with these people, if I just go along with these people to some extent, maybe they won't primary me. Maybe they won't challenge me. The problem is the DSA people thus far have proven themselves unable to win in swing districts, win in swing states. And so now the Democrats, in order to obtain power, have got to figure out a way to now distance themselves from the people that they've aligned with in the primary season. Ground zero for this is in Michigan with this Abdul El-Sayed guy, who's the DSA Democrat Socialist of America candidate, who is now the Democrats' nominee for Senate in Michigan. And what's fascinating is watching the Democrats now try to pivot out of to help this El-Sayed guy get across the finish line in Michigan. El-Sayed is not just in bed with the maniacs, he is one of the maniacs. And the guy at the center of all this, the main guy right now that's sort of driving the bus on the DSA agenda, is this Hassan Piker guy, who is I think TikTok is his big platform that he uses. But he's an internet streamer. And he has, unbelievably, sort of, in large part, taken control of the Democrat Party, because the DSA people sort of get their marching orders from him, and now the Democrats are subservient to the DSA people. And the Democrats know extremists like Hassan Piker are not going to play in the swing states. They're not going to play in the swing districts. Sure, they've been in bed with him. Now they got to get out of bed with him. And it is fascinating to watch. We're going to play 2 clips here of watching the Democrats try to act like they haven't been getting their marching orders from Hassan Piker, trying to act like they haven't been subservient to Hassan Piker and the people that follow him and that are aligned with him. First person we're going to play is Debbie Dingell. Debbie Dingell is a U.S. rep from Michigan, which is where Abdul El-Sayed is running for Senate. And Debbie Dingell is the wife of now deceased John Dingell. John Dingell was in office for 9 million years. He passed away. She took over for him. And the clip you're going to hear is, first of all, a clip of her screaming about having to hear about Hassan Piker, and nobody should be allowed to ask her about Hassan Piker. So then CNN, she goes on CNN, and to their credit, they're like, why shouldn't we be allowed to ask you about Hassan Piker? And her response is glorious. Take a listen.
I am done. So don't any reporter ask me again about Hassan Piker. It's not what November is about.
So I'm a reporter. Why can't I ask you about Hassan Piker when he has campaigned with Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed?
Look, I'll tell you what I'm tired of. I'm really worried about health care. I'm worried about reversing the SNAP cuts. I'm worried about hunger. I'm worried about affordability of groceries and gasoline and housing and a broken healthcare system. And quite frankly, everywhere I've gone for the last 10 days, someone throws a camera in my face or a phone in my face and asks me questions. I don't agree with them. I've made it very clear. And not only do I agree Israel's got a right to exist, but as I got more into him, just, looking at things he said, there are a lot of things that deeply disturb me, but he's not on the ballot.
The problem is for her, though, your guy El-Sayed does agree with him. He is buddies with him. They are aligned at the hip. You can say whatever you want. We're not talking about you. We're talking about a guy you're supporting in Abdul El-Sayed, who is aligned with Hassan Piker. He can say whatever he wants now. We're going to play you a clip of him trying to backpedal out of the Hassan Piker support here in just a second. He is the line. He agrees with Abdul El-Sayed agrees with Hassan Piker, the same guy who said, essentially, 9/11, we deserve 9/11. That's how the sort of extremism we're talking about here. You don't get to say then, when you guys, the Democrats, nominate this person, we're not talking for surveyor. We're not talking for county coroner. We're talking about for United States Senate. He will be one of the most 100 most powerful people in the country. Everything this guy has said and done is now fair game. And he has buddied up with a complete lunatic. You don't get to be offended about that, lady. You don't get to say, you don't get to ask me about that. And the fact that she is that upset about it tells you they know what a liability Hassan Piker actually is. Now, El-Sayed, he's in the same boat as Debbie Dingell, except he's the one that did the buddying up to Piker, and now he doesn't want any part of it. Take a listen.
Too often when you hear about politics, you hear politics covered as sport, right? Like Hassan Piker is a streamer in California. You would think if you turned on any media that this whole campaign is about a streamer in California. That's not what this campaign has ever been about. This campaign has always been about the ability to afford your groceries in Michigan, the ability to send your kid to a good school in Michigan, the ability to see a doctor in Michigan. Those are the questions I'm interested in answering and asking.
Well, the campaign is going to be about Hassan Piker because the Republicans don't have anything to run on. They don't have anything to go out and go, hey, look at us. Look at all the great stuff we did for you. So, of course, they're going to make it about this guy. But I don't think that's unfair. You're buddies with him. You campaigned with him. You had his support. Yes, he's a streamer in California. But he's also given the marching orders right now to the DSA people that are taking over your party, and that's the group you align with. Politics is blood sport, dude. No crying. No whining. You made friends with him. You own him. So you notice he doesn't want to totally denounce him because he needs his support. None of these people, now the Dingle chick kind of did, but then you got to denounce El Said as well because they're the same guy. They agree with each other. Think about where we're at in our country right now. One side are the Democrats that are getting overtaken by complete maniacs, and the other side are the Republicans who don't do anything worthwhile. That's your voting choices in this country right now. The Republicans who never deliver on their promises, who never follow through, who never make anything better, or the Democrats that are run and being overtaken by complete insane people. What a time to be alive. Hard to believe voter participation is so low. All right, one other clip. And this was from the podcast of Sage Steele. She's a longtime sports journalist, commentator, actually on the IU Board of Trustees now, I believe. And she had Frank Caliendo on her podcast. Frank Caliendo, a lot of people may know him. He's a comedian, impressionist, TV star, has done Fox Football Sundays for years. If you saw him, you know who I'm talking about. And he tells Sage Steele a hilarious story about what Trump is like off the camera, off the public spotlight. And I wanted to play this for you guys because it's exactly what I've told you guys for years about my interaction with Trump. He's a hell of a nice guy in person. He's very, humble's not the right word. But he's completely different when the camera stopped rolling than he is when the red light is on. And I told him in our meeting, when we were wrapping up, I said, if people saw this side of you, they would like you much better. If you were just this person all the time, which is actually what I think the real person is, people would like you much better. But I don't think Trump is capable of doing that. Anyway, here's a great story from Frank Caliendo about doing a TV appearance with Trump. Take a listen.
I did a sketch with him at Trump Tower for Fox. He's a different person off camera than he is on camera. 100%. He was incredibly nice to me, encouraging, and you gotta keep doing this. You gotta keep doing it. You're one of the best. We keep going, and then after the sketch, he goes, you got a minute? I'm like, I got plenty. He goes, come with me. It was like Willy Wonka. He takes me down to a kiosk. He starts handing me stuff. He goes, do you like ties? Yes, some ties. He gives me a book, and then he grabs a watch. He takes the price tag off of the watch as he hands it to me. It's diamonds all over it and gold. I'm like, I don't know. He sent me out into New York City, by the way, with what I thought might be this really expensive watch. I call my wife. I go, I got this watch from Donald Trump. It's got diamonds. It's gold. She goes, is it real? I'm like, I don't know. She goes, don't worry. I'll call our jeweler. And I was like, we have a jeweler? Trump got me. But it turned out it was the Melania collection. So it was just fake, costume jewelry they were selling at Trump Tower.
Don't you love that Trump was giving him costume jewelry? You got a minute? Here's some costume jewelry. It's great. You'll love it. But the point is, he really is a good guy. I think at his core, Trump is a really good guy. And yet he will not allow people to see that side of him. And he's like the only person in history that deliberately goes out of his way to alienate people that he absolutely needs to be successful in his position. Fascinating stuff. Hey, guys, help us grow the Rob Kendall Show. There's 3 ways you can do it. We call it like, share, and subscribe. Number 1, Like the feed. Give us that thumbs up. If you're watching us live on YouTube, on demand on YouTube, hit that little thumbs up button. Really helps us grow. Share the feed out. You got a Facebook, you got a Twitter. Let people know we are here. And last but certainly not least, subscribe to our channels. Whatever you're watching or listening to us on, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, all the places. Like, share, and subscribe. That's how you can help us grow the Rob Kendall Show. Let's tell you about AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning. They take great pride in cleaning homes and businesses across central Indiana. Amber, the owner, she used to work for one of the big guys. She was not happy with the lack of attention to detail and the time that the cleaners were putting in to the homes. So she started her own business. AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning. You use them, you can see and smell the difference. Mention the Rob Kendall Show. What an incredible deal this is. Mention the Rob Kendall Show. Get an incredible $50 off your first clean with AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning. Serving all across central Indiana. Book your appointment today. Your business, your home. 317-530-8148. 317-530-8148. All right, let's take a break. When we get back, there is allegedly a lioness on the roam across the greater central Indiana area. Heads up, everybody. It's a real story. We'll talk about it next. You're watching Rob Kendall Show. Do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606 or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get $200 off a new installation.
DC politicians don't care. Buying stocks with insider information, they get filthy rich. But if you did it, you'd get locked up. Thankfully, there's one fighter on our side. Senator Todd Young is pushing to ban all congressional stock trading forever. He's never traded a single stock while in Congress. Young's a Marine who does the right thing. Contact Senator Todd Young. Thank him for standing up for us and for fighting to ban congressional stock trading.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
If you're an anti-flock camera person, you got some good news yesterday. We'll tell you about that here in just a moment. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, coming up here, two big interviews today. 10 o'clock, Stuart Mora. He is with the Indiana Organizing Project, and their group is very upset about the ICE detention facility in Miami County. And they're having vigils, what they're calling vigils, all across the state of Indiana this weekend to try to get this thing shut down. We're going to have a fascinating conversation. Where would you put the illegal immigrants? What would you do with them if they're not in a detention facility? What about the TPS people? What about the border? All the stuff. You guys are going to love it coming up here at 10 o'clock. Plus, a little bit later on in the program, Lee Markham, former CEO of Jack's Donuts, is going to be with us. This is a fascinating interview. You guys may have read about the high-profile downfall of Jack's Donuts. Lee was at the center of that. It was his family business. It had been in his family for generations. He had built up over the past 10 years Jack's Donuts, explosive growth, franchises all over the state, and then Seemed like kind of overnight it all fell apart. And now Lee's trying to build everything back up. He's gone through a lot. We'll talk about the downfall of Jack's Donuts. We'll talk about what happened with him, and this new business that he's got, that he started trying to make good. We love a good comeback story here, right? We'll find out if this is it with Lee Markham coming up here in just a little bit. But first, Anthony Gary, our guy, Indie Dwell Real Estate. He doesn't just list homes for sale. He gets them noticed, he gets them shown, he gets them sold without you losing sleep or sanity. Anthony's trained with some of the top negotiators on earth and is ready to help you achieve your real estate goals. Put Anthony's expert selling strategy and experience to work for you. Call or text Anthony Gary, Indie Dwell Real Estate, 317-756-1159, 317-756-1159. All right, we're going to get to the alleged lioness roaming around the central Indiana countryside here in just a moment. But first, if you're an anti-flock camera person, you got good news yesterday. From WRTV 6, Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri launched a congressional investigation Wednesday into Flock Safety, a company that operates a nationwide network of automated license plate reader cameras. Okay, another step, and it's probably a positive thing. We now have government at a federal level joining with governments at state levels and local levels saying, hey, there are serious concerns about the flock cameras. Law enforcement says there is some benefit to having them. Is there a way we can find a balancing act to help law enforcement do their jobs, but also ensure that the system isn't being abused, that law enforcement isn't taking advantage, and that people's rights are being protected? And now the federal government getting involved. Quote, Flock has assembled an unprecedented national surveillance network, Hawley said in a statement. They boast more than 120,000 cameras across 49 states and more than 20 billion vehicle scans every month. It's a staggering statistic. It's a staggering amount of data. And the federal government is right to be concerned, just like state governments, just like local governments. There is a lot of information being collected, and there right now don't appear to be, and this is most important, a lot of safeguards around what's being done with it. There's no need to keep that data indefinitely. There's no need to have that information unless you're engaged in some sort of criminal investigation. And quite candidly, you should know within a couple of days whether you need that data for a criminal investigation. I'm not a person that says there's zero need for these things to exist. I know some people are that way, and that's fine. It's a reasonable discussion. I think there are many instances, especially as we have seen explosive, irresponsible growth of the suburbs, and in addition to explosive, irresponsible growth of the suburbs, crime filtering out, in the case of central Indiana, from Indianapolis to the suburbs, bad actors coming here. On a public street, these serve some sort of purpose. But right now, there are almost no safeguards around them. There are no protections around them. And not only do there need to be protections and safeguards, they need to be robust. Those don't exist. And until they do exist, the flock camera should not be going forward. It's very similar to the conversation with the data centers. I wholeheartedly support the data center moratorium. I think it should be all across our state, not because I'm anti-data center, but because there's nothing to protect people. We don't have a plan right now. We just wake up every day and we do stuff without any rhyme or reason. Abatement here, tax incentive there. Why? Why are we doing this for these people? What about our protections? Well, we don't know what they are. I view the flock cameras the same way. I've tried to take a measured approach on these things, which is there's probably societal benefit to them in some capacity, but certainly not without robust restrictions. In a letter to Flock announcing his inquiry, Hawley said Congress never authorized the network the company has built and that the American people want to know who has the access to their personal data. Bingo, absolutely. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont said Thursday he will soon introduce legislation to stop flock and AI mass surveillance, a sign of how quickly the issue is becoming bipartisan. The issue is very data center. It's very much the same. And the flock camera people have made the same mistake the data center people have made, which is when you just do stuff without a public understanding or a public buy-in, you're going to get pushback. People fear, and rightfully so, the unknown. Because the unknown makes it seem like you're trying to get something over on them. The unknown makes it seem like you're trying to pull a fast one. And so naturally, even if the thing ultimately proved to be 100% beneficial, which I don't think the flock cameras or certainly data centers are, people are going to say, whoa, stop. When you're dealing with, and almost everything we're going to deal with going forward is going to be a technology something. There's not going to be much new that comes out that isn't heavily rooted in technology. You have to get people to understand the technology. You have to get people to be comfortable with the technology. And part of being comfortable with the technology is understanding and getting buy-in on exactly why it's good and reassuring people's fears about what's being done with it. The flock camera people, like the data center people, have not done that. Thus, you're getting the large-scale pushback. And the fact now that you've got essentially bipartisan cooperation in the federal government on potentially moving forward with something to rein this in, that should be a very, very, very big red flag for the data center people and the flock camera people. Interesting poll from the Hill, and then we'll get to the lioness roaming around the allegedly roaming around the greater Indianapolis countryside. Now, supposedly this is real. Numerous mainstream media outlets across central Indiana have reported this. Now, I don't know. Seems a little sketchy to me that somebody could just a lioness could be seen and a lion cub could be seen, and nobody reported, hey, I'm missing my lion. Because the Indianapolis Zoo was like, we've checked all our lions. They're all there. Not ours. Which tells you either it's a made-up story or someone likely maybe has an illegal lion. I mean, because if your lion went missing, think about when your dog goes missing. You post the flyers everywhere. Have you seen Fido? You're on the Townie Chatterboard. Here's the photo of my dog or my cat. If you've seen him, he'll come to you or he responds to this or whatever, right? I would think a lioness and the potential danger that the lioness and the lion cub might pose a little bit higher. You think if that went missing, you would alert the public. Hey, sorry, Harold, my groundskeeper screwed up and let the lion out. Oops. Well, Jason makes a good point. Couldn't the flock camera find the lion? Now, I don't know. Lion's got to go on a public street for that to happen. So we'll get to that in just a second, because that's a fascinating story. And if it's made up, it's even more hilarious, because a bunch of the mainstream media people have gone with it. But the story from the Hill, and I referenced it earlier, about how younger people, which were so key to Trump's election, are moving away from Trump and the reason why. So from the Hill, 31% of Gen Z voters who voted for President Trump say they regret it, according to a recent Navigator poll. Almost a third of the Gen Z people who voted for Trump. Now, Gen Z is what? Is that after 95? You were born after 1995? So you'd be basically people that are, between the ages now of probably like 20 and 30. The ages of 20 and 30-ish now are saying 31%, a third of those people say they regret voting for President Trump. Trump won an incredible 42% of voters born in the 90s and 2000s, according to Pew Research, compared to Kamala Harris's 55%. Now, you might say to yourself, well, Rob, how could that be incredible? How could it be incredible if he lost by 13%? Because normally it's a lot more than losing by 13%. 20, 30% or more margin usually for a Democrat candidate for president among young people. And in those swing states, it was the Gen Z voter that were very, very, very instrumental in Trump winning. You know, when you're talking, 100,000 votes or less here or there, every vote counts. And Trump did very well. And a big part of the reason why Trump did well is he ran on the idea of affordability. He ran on the idea of getting prices under control. That's a major issue for Gen Z. I mean, a lot of these Gen Z people are still living at home. They are the COVID kids. They are people who were coming of age when everything got shut down. And so their world, they have really, many of them, never known an adult world, certainly, without skyrocketing prices. Millennials followed in second place of people who have left President Trump, voters who voted for Trump who regret it, at 28%. That's my generation. With 20% of Gen Xers and 10% of baby boomers saying they regret backing Trump too. So double digits in every voting demographic, basically. Double digits of every voting demographic that voted for Trump said they now regret the vote. That's not a great number, guys. The survey also asked about the president's approval rating. Gen Z had the lowest support for Trump, with only 33% saying they strongly or somewhat approved of the way he's handled his job. Millennials at 38, Gen X at 39, boomers at 41. Again, the highest Trump did is the older voting generation at 41%. It doesn't surprise me that Gen Z is the lowest. It does surprise me at how low Trump is, or it should be alarming. Let me say that. It's actually anymore doesn't surprise me, but it should be alarming that the highest Trump can get into any voter demo are the boomers at 41%. What is interesting about Gen Z, though, is how many of them claim to be engaged in politics. 1997 is the start for Gen Z. Is that right? Okay. So, yeah, basically 29 to 20 are the age range we're talking about here in this poll, then, because if you were born in 1997, you'd be 29 years old now. 40% of Gen Zers say politics is, quote, very important to their personal identity, which is the highest across all ages. That's interesting to me. Normally, we think of young people not being engaged. We think of young people not caring. We think of young people being apathetic about the political process. And according to this survey, Gen Z is, to the highest level, the group that identifies politics as very important to their personal identity. Which means, and I think part of it is, you're more apt to be engaged, you're more apt to participate if you feel like things aren't going well. You want change. You want something different. You want something better. You kind of get easy. You kind of get apathetic if you're happy with the way things are going. The older people, they're probably like, screw it. I've been through the ringer. There's more important things in life. But all of this stuff, when we talk about the polling with Trump, regardless of generation, it comes back to the same reason I think he's struggling. And that is, when you don't deliver on your signature issue, it makes it very hard to succeed in the arena of public opinion, because you were elected to do something and you failed. It's why Braun can't succeed. No matter what Braun does, he can't succeed because he failed on property taxes. And not only did he fail on property taxes, he's seen as now like indifferent to it. Remember last year, he's like, everybody likes property taxes. Really? Oh, you show me where those people are. You show us where those very shiny, happy people are about the property taxes. You can't, no matter what else Braun does when he talks about this affordability agenda, the utilities, whatever, you can't succeed. You can't get that message to the people if people have tuned you out because you didn't deliver on your big thing. And in the case of Trump, the number one overwhelming reason, and there were other issues at play. There were people who liked his anti-war stance, which he's obviously blown through. The border was not even close, Jason, to the reason people voted for Trump. Public polling shows it was not even close. It was a reason, but the number one reason was the economy, period. Like every public opinion poll showed amongst the people, the hardcore people, yes. But the public at large, it was the economy. It was the price. Exit polling bared that out too. And he's done a pretty good job with the border. But it's the same thing with Braun. While Braun's trying to fix the utility thing through the IURC, whether it's resolute or whether he's resolute in that opinion or genuine in that opinion or just doing it for public polling or for public sentiment, who knows? But it doesn't matter. He failed on the property taxes. You can't get through to anything else when your message is clouded by not delivering on your signature issue. And Trump will not address prices. And he kind of goes out of his way to insult you. A little bit more for gas. Just a little bit more for your fuel. Well, gas right now here would be like between $4.10 and $4.35 a gallon without the gas taxes getting suspended. That doesn't sound like a little bit more. Until the Republicans, and the Congress is going to have to do it themselves, which they're not going to do. They're going to force Trump to deal with this. It's not going to happen, and you're going to keep seeing the numbers sliding. Leaky chimney, water in the basement, cracks around the exterior of your home. Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants is your authority for chimney repair, tuck pointing, foundation repair, crawl space to basement conversions, basement waterproofing, and more. Bramwell Mackay doesn't offer quick patches. Their team of 40-year master masons and industry experts address the root cause and provide solutions that last lifetimes. Your home is one of your biggest investments. Treat it that way. Bramwell Mackay, your masonry, foundation, and chimney specialists. Jason, you ever had a pest in your backyard? Like a dangerous animal of some sort? You don't live like near a wooded area, so probably don't have like a...
I don't go in the backyard.
You don't go in the backyard?
I let the guy cut it. I look out, admire it.
This is a wild story. And I really want it to be fake because so many media outlets have reported on it. Now, they're all kind of careful. Like you can tell everybody's like, we should probably report on this because everyone else is, but nobody's seen proof this exists. They're lying. Very good. You need to get that on a shirt. They're lying. All right. So we're going to use the reporting from the Indy Star. And you'll notice in this reporting, they never say it's actually true, which is weird because everybody appears to be running with a story that nobody knows to actually be true. At least as of me coming in to do this show this morning. Now, maybe there's some breaking news that I've missed. I didn't see it anywhere. But according to the Indy Star, at around 10 a.m. yesterday, the Madison County Sheriff's deputies responded to a most unusual call. A resident reported seeing a lioness and her cub strolling southwest across his property in the that's a big number, the 10,000 block of South County Road 50 West. Oh, they've suspended the search. Yeah, there's no visual proof. Right. This is my point here. So I guess the latest is they've suspended the search because nobody can confirm this happened. After searching the area on foot with drones for 4 hours, authorities found no evidence of the cats, Madison County Sheriff's Office posted on Facebook around 4 p.m. Still, people in the area should immediately contact authorities about, quote, any unusual animal sightings. Before the department made its post, several media outlets reported that the lion sighting had been confirmed with the drone. Madison County Sheriff John Beeman did not immediately respond to Indy Star's request for clarification. This is the bigger story to me, is not whether there was a lioness or not, or a cub or not. It's how did everybody go with this story? Like, I think this is part of the problem with our society now. You can make up anything, and then all of a sudden, people just go with it. Remember the guy with the bears story? What was that, 2 weeks ago? Where that guy on Twitter was like, I have it on good authority. Just a dude. Not like some guy from the Chicago Tribune or the Chicago Sun-Times or WGN. Just some dude. He's like, I have it on good authority. The Bears are going to announce a stadium coming to Hammond tomorrow, and they're going to name it the Indiana Bears. And everybody just ran with it, including our U.S. Senator Jim Banks and a state rep, Andrew Ireland. Like legitimate lawmakers were reposting this idiot. And then a day later, he's like, I was duped. But everybody ran with the story. Like mainstream media people were calling me and they were like, is this true? And I was like, why the hell are you asking me? Well, you're into football. You're into the Bears. And I said, well, what's this guy saying? And as soon as I heard Indiana Bears, I said, no, it's not true. The Chicago, that should have been the first red flag to everyone. The Chicago Bears will never not be the Chicago Bears. But everybody ran with it. People were like running stories around this one random guy who the next day had to come out and go, I was duped. This feels like the same thing. And this feels like the world we're in now, the unfortunate world we're in, where somebody can just make up a story and all you got to do is get one or two people to go with it and then bam, here we go. It's not just that it was on the townie chatter board. There are legitimate members of the media, legitimate media outlets. WIBC was talking about it yesterday. That there's supposedly this lioness and a cub on the loose. And I keep in my mind going, okay, wait. If the zoo, because the zoo, according to the Star, the Indianapolis Zoo confirmed all of its lions are accounted for. It is illegal to keep a pet lion under the Big Cat Public Safety Act. You're right. Like, I heard this story and my first thought is, okay, he got out of the zoo? No, he didn't get out of the zoo. Well, then where the hell would this lion come from? Somebody's importing a lion from a foreign country, and it's just like being housed in somewhere in Madison County. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And then the lion gets out, and what? It just never ventures towards where anybody can see this thing. Nobody got a picture. It's why I've always questioned the Bigfoot. Like, I want to believe that there is a Bigfoot, but when I was a kid, I believed in Bigfoot because, like, you would see Unsolved Mysteries and they do a piece on Bigfoot. And you'd believe these people who supposedly saw the Bigfoot, right? They seem very believable. Who knows? Maybe they were tortured mental souls. Maybe they really did see something. Who knows? But you would hear these people and you go, well, how could they all be lying? It's 2026. Everyone has a smartphone at all times. Where are all these people who supposedly saw the Bigfoot in the 80s? Why aren't they seeing the Bigfoot now in the 2020s when we have the smartphones? Same thing with the aliens. I believe in aliens. I think they're time travelers. But how does nobody have an actual picture of an alien in 2026? Wouldn't somebody have a photo? Same thing here. How is it that nobody has a photo of this? And if there were these drones that had captured it, you would think law enforcement would be able to track these people down. That law enforcement would be able to say, hello, Mr. Drone Man, can we see the photo of this so we can find out? And think about if indeed this is made up, which I thought it was from the beginning, and it appears to have been made up. How much law enforcement time, how much taxpayer resources were completely wasted searching for a lioness and a cub that don't exist? But it does show the power of the internet, which is unfortunate. Somebody can say anything at any given time, and then people just run with it, including legit media. Like legit media. The paper of record has an article about it in the Indy Star. The radio station of record, WIBC, did a whole bunch of coverage of it yesterday. And I'm not saying that either one of these publications said, well, there's definitely a lion on the loose. But they reported on it, as did the TV stations. Like, everybody was out reporting on this. It took on a life of its own. It got some level of validity to it, even though nobody actually said, hey, it's true. And people are out there looking for these animals that appear not to even exist. That is an indictment of the society that we live in today. That, as we've seen numerous times, whether there was this lioness and her cub or not, we saw it with the Bears Stadium, how some guy can just put something out there and everybody runs with it. It's like almost like if people want to believe something, it's like Fox Mulder in the X-Files. I want to believe. And then they do believe. And then the story just builds a life of its own. And this happens with people, too, and people making up things about people, getting things wrong about people, and then the people get their reputations damaged. It's not good. It's not a good thing that misinformation can spread in such a rapid fashion. Coming up here in just a little bit, a few minutes, in fact, we're going to hear from Stuart Mora. He is with the Indiana Organizing Project, and they are very upset about the ICE detention facility at the Miami County Correctional Facility. Of course, you guys may know, I'm sure our very loyal, informed audience knows that last year, the state of Indiana agreed to take on, with payments from the federal government, people held at ICE detention facilities, both illegal immigrants and people being removed from the country for various, either whether it's immigration violations or change of TPS status, asylum status, whatever. Indiana agreed to take that on, and so for the past year and a half or so, they've housed these immigrants and illegal immigrants and other people who are being removed from the country, and they get paid a certain amount per day per person. Indiana was very candid. They were doing it because it made money for them. And the Indy Star, was a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago now, had a big expose on the conditions of the Miami ICE facility, Miami County ICE facility. And there are people who had passed away in the facility. And so this group, the Indiana Organizing Project, is holding vigils all across the state. They want the facility shut down. Stuart Mora, one of the leaders over there, is going to be with us. We're going to talk about, okay, you don't like the ICE facility in Miami County. Fine. What do you do with these people? What do you do about the tens of millions of people that are in the country illegally? Should they be allowed to stay? If you let them stay, what message does that send to people that are here trying to do things the right way? What about the border? Should there be borders? Should we shut down the borders? It's a fascinating conversation. I think you guys, it's so funny. Like, we'll get done with interviews. And I know when you guys are going to enjoy one. And I got done with this interview yesterday, and I turned to Jason, I said, YouTube chat's going to be fired up about this one. So stick around for that. Before we get to that, though, and don't forget, we got the interview with Lee Markham, former CEO of Jack's Donuts, coming up here later today as well. Whether you're buying your first rental property or growing an investment portfolio, financing matters. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps investors explore loan options designed for rental properties and long-term wealth building. As a local mortgage advisor, Gary works one-on-one with investors to help them understand their financing options and create a strategy that fits their goals. Learn more at loansbygary.homes. loansbygary.homes. Gary Tedrow, Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 179207, equal housing lender. Now, I know we're getting ready to wrap up hour one, which gets replayed up on WJOB 1230, 1047 up in the region. For those of you listening to us on WJOB, if you enjoy this program, you can listen to all 3 hours, or anybody can listen to all 3 hours. All you got to do, just head over to YouTube, put Rob Kendall Show into your YouTube search bar, and you can enjoy 2 more hours of great programming you've heard today here on WJOB. Don't forget, we're also on Apple, Spotify, and iHeart, all the major podcasting platforms for the most part. You can find us. Just put Rob Kendall Show into your search bar, or you can get the links directly at robkendallshow.com. robkendallshow.com. While you're there, hit the support button. Support our program. We greatly appreciate you. Like, share, and subscribe. Help us grow the Rob Kendall Show. Hit that thumbs up on the YouTube feed. If you're watching live or on demand, please, really helps us grow. Share the feed out YouTube on Facebook, Twitter, whatever you got. Let people know we're here. And last but certainly not least, subscribe to whatever platform you're listening or watching us on. All right, we'll take a break. Stuart Mora, Indiana Organizing Project, spirited debate on illegal immigration. When we come back, you're watching Rob Kendall Show.
I'm Anthony Gary. I started Indy Dwell Real Estate because too many friends, family members, and neighbors had real estate experiences that lacked compassion, explanation, and expertise. You deserve someone in your corner with the heart of a teacher, simplifying every step of the buying or selling process. When you hire me, you get me. Start to finish, you'll never be handed off. No stress, no surprises, just the expert guidance and results you deserve. Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate. Call or text 317-756-1159. 317-756-1159.
Did you know Honeysuckle Hill in Brazil offers more than just a fabulous made-from-scratch meal at the bistro? It also has an adjoining cottage, great for a perfect, relaxing weekend away with a scenic waterfront view. The cottage offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths with spa-like tile showers, full kitchen, living room with fireplace, laundry facilities, and a full deck overlooking the lake. And Andy, one of the owners, delivers breakfast in a picnic basket at 8:30 each morning. Plan the perfect weekend away at the scenic Honeysuckle Hill property on the water in beautiful Brazil. Book today by visiting their website at honeysucklehillb.com.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. So there's some people that are upset that up in Miami County, we are housing illegal immigrants. And the federal government has taken that on. State of Indiana partnering with the federal government. And this weekend, there are going to be some people voicing their displeasure that we're doing that. Stuart Mora, Indiana Organizing Project, joins me now. Stuart, hello.
Hey. Thanks so much for having me, Rob. I appreciate you.
So tell me what's going on this weekend. Let's get into what it's about in a second, but tell us about the protests that are taking place this weekend.
Yes, I'm going to reframe the word protest. We specifically chose the term public witness.
Public witness.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
tell me why.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a faith-forward organizing effort. Many of, if you were to look at what is happening, many of these events are prayer vigils. Many of them are hosted by churches all over the state. And so that's why I'm very specific to say.
So it's not just in Miami County.
Correct. Yeah,
You're
all over the state.
This all over the state.
All over the state. There are 62 confirmed events all over the state. Prayer vigils.
That's a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. No.
You guys aren't screwing around.
Prayer vigils, teach-ins. Some rallies. I mean, we've told people. Live out your traditions, right? And so for people of faith, that is a prayer vigil. For other people, that may be a rally. A lot of this is trying to reach out and say, you may not know what's happening at Miami Correctional. You may not know how it's affecting our community. We want to engage you. We don't care what your politics are.
So this is, you guys view it as an educational opportunity.
Educational, and I would say shining the spotlight on what is already happening. I mean, the Indianapolis Star has done some pretty deep reporting on what I consider to be the shame of what is happening at Miami Correctional.
Okay, so you're referencing, at least I would assume there have been 2 deaths in the correctional facility, correct?
2 deaths, and I am somebody who speaks with ICE detainees at Miami Correctional on basically a daily basis.
How do you do that? Can you just go in and talk to people?
Yeah, so not in person. I talk to them by phone.
I gotcha.
So just like if I were a family member.
Okay.
You have a way of it's mostly by phone, and they have to call out.
So they know you.
They know me. Okay. My number gets passed around within the facility.
You can ask how that worked. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good.
Absolutely.
All right. Stuart Moore is our guest, Indiana Organizing Project. Okay, so, and you're friends with Jesse Brown. So, you guys have known each other for a long time.
Old friend of mine, sure.
Yeah, and Brown and I had a spirited back and forth the last time he was on about the border and about our immigration policy. Is your issue with the condition of the prison, the treatment of the inmates, or the fact that they are housing illegal immigrants, that they are detaining illegal immigrants, or both?
Yeah, so I think first, let's just start with, I worked at an immigration law office during the Biden administration.
You're a Notre Dame guy.
I'm a Notre Dame guy. I'm not a lawyer. I was working as a paralegal, but I interacted with immigrants who had come over during the Biden administration. And anybody who interacted within that space could tell you it was complete disarray at the border. Like, I don't defend the Biden administration's policies at the border. Now, right, we've got a new administration. There's been, this effort at mass deportations. And now we have to wrestle with what does that actually mean, mass deportations? I'm not somebody who's going to say nobody belongs in ICE detention. Nobody should be deported. That's not my position.
How do you and Brown get along then? Because he doesn't want any of that.
We are good friends. That doesn't mean we see everything in the same light.
So I think that's interesting because I think a lot of people see people like you as, oh, you just want chaos at the border. You want open amnesty. You're not saying that at all.
No, not at all. So I interact with ICE detainees and their families. Okay. And part of our organization supports families who are going through crisis because of ICE detention or a recent deportation. All of the families that we're interacting with have U.S. citizens who are directly impacted. Sometimes it's the spouse. Sometimes it's almost always the children. And you just got to think, like, you have a 3-year-old daughter. What would it mean if you suddenly disappeared and your 3-year-old daughter how would that impact her? We see that every day. Right. It's, I visited a family this weekend, U.S. citizen's wife, 25 years old, lives here in Indianapolis. She has a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. The 4-year-old is in therapy for suicidal ideation. The 5-year-old started kindergarten. You would think that's a joyous time in life, right? The 5-year-old's now in therapy because he can't handle the kindergarten teachers talking about family. And she just had a baby. She had no idea, the family had no idea that her husband was ever at risk. He's been here for 30 years. He was a legal permanent resident. He general manager of a laundromat, right? Like, we have to wrestle with what is actually happening to families in our communities. And families like the one I just described are in crisis, children being traumatized. And for what? That was a choice that our government, it's ours, is making to detain this person who was a legal permanent resident, and he's been there in 6 months and still fighting his case.
Stuart Moore is our guest, Indiana Organizing Project. So there's also the flip side of it.
Sure,
and I want to come back to that here in a moment, but I want to talk about the conditions at Miami, right? You guys are upset about those. You believe those people passed away because of those conditions. Are the people working there responsible? What do you think has led to that? What do you want to see changed there?
So the Indianapolis Star's reporting made it very clear that multiple staff and multiple detainees have been clear. Both of the deaths likely could have been prevented. One, we've heard this for months and months. People just were not getting their prescription medications. You talk about getting diabetes, high blood pressure.
Do you think it's deliberate? Do you think they're overwhelmed? Why do you think that is?
Yeah. So what has happened here is I spoke with a Miami staff person back on March 20th. And he told me we are short 34% of the staffing we need to house the people housed here.
So the federal government, they believe, is not properly staffing these facilities.
It is Miami Correctional Facility's responsibility to staff their facility. We signed up and said we can do this as a state, and we never dealt with the fact that, okay, well, if you're going to house people, you have to have staff. And it's part of why, we can talk about more about ICE detention broadly, but it's really expensive to detain somebody for months at a time.
It's the short as a money maker. Do you think the state was full of it on that? Is that playing out? Are we actually making money on it? And as part of the understaffing, because if they provide more staff, it won't be a moneymaker.
So Department of Corrections, Lloyd Arnold, the Braun appointee who oversees it, his line was, we would not be doing this if there was not a built-in profit. That is a direct quote. Okay.
So you think they are doing this not out of some great obligation to the country, but rather because it makes money?
I'm not going to try to get into their minds. That was the goal, was clearly to make some money off this. I think the reality is that Indiana taxpayers are going to be on the hook because it's not only, we don't have enough information to say how much money they've lost at this point, but we believe they're down. And we're not factoring in the litigation costs. All of this lack of medical care, the resulting deaths, all the harm that's been done, there's already pending lawsuits, there's likely further litigation. I don't think any of that was factored into signing this 2-year contract.
Stuart Moore, Indiana Organizing Project, is our guest. So the option here, I think this is what people struggle with. Clearly, you laid out a couple scenarios earlier.
Sure.
Right? And I think people hear that and they go, yeah, that's rough. But these people broke the law, right? They're here illegally. What does a balancing act on that look like for you? Because you have people who wait 7 years, 5 years. They go through the process. That's why the swearing in ceremony is so special. What are you saying to those people if you allow the people who have illegally entered the country to remain in the country? What's a balancing act look like for you?
Yeah. So it's, first of all, we have to be clear. Our current administration has taken away legal status from nearly 2 million people. So if that person winds up in ICE detention and they had their legal status taken away, they were doing it the right way. Why are we taking their legal status
You're
away?
talking about people that were the TPS people, the people that were granted temporary stay in the country, those people being removed from the country, they show up at these detention facilities as well.
Absolutely. I mean,
I think a lot of people know that.
No, that's why I say it.
They don't just put you on an airplane and you go.
And there's also, if you, again, this is my world. So like if you apply for asylum, if you are married to a U.S. citizen and you're going through that process, you absolutely, and I can tell many stories, can be detained by ICE and held in these facilities. Even though you're trying to go through the process, it's not inherently that you committed a crime. In fact, in Indiana, it's almost always that you got pulled over, whether there was a traffic infraction or not. I don't know, but that's typically how people end up in ICE detention, even if they're in the process.
So is your bigger issue not with the people here illegally, but the people who are trying to do it the right way and they end up in these places?
Well, so it's twofold. One, we have to wrestle with the fact that we are taking legal status away from our community members and from taxpayers. And those community members and taxpayers have U.S. citizen children, U.S. citizen spouses, U.S. citizen siblings. That's one. And then secondly, every detainee I've spoken to will tell you Miami Correctional is far and away the worst place they've been detained. The abuse from the guards, racial slurs, pepper spray.
Are you talking like physical abuse?
Some physical abuse. Yeah, some physical abuse. We have reports of guards going by and just spraying out their pepper spray can along the cells.
Are those validated? Like, I used to make up stuff about my friends all the time. It doesn't mean they
We
did
hear
it.
this from so many detainees that it's hard not to believe. I mean, the medical care is very clear. That's come out in the reporting. The racial slurs, I feel very confident saying that is a regular thing that we hear from detainees. I've heard enough stories about things that are physical abuse or psychological torture to say that none of it is happening. I can't believe that. To say that maybe some of it's exaggerated, some of it's not totally true, fine. But there's enough of it that I hear. I feel very confident saying that the detainees are reporting it regularly.
So what do you guys want out of this weekend? I think that's the key. And I think a lot of times they're like people who say, hey, I want to be compassionate, but we got to have rules. We got to have regulations. You can't be breaking the law. What do you guys want to see as a result of this weekend?
Yeah, so two things. One, we want Governor Braun to end ICE detention at Miami Correctional. Full stop.
Shut it down.
End it. That's a 2-year contract. It's been going on for a year. End it. And at the very least, do not renew that contract. Let's start there. Okay. And then secondly,
where do you want them to go if they're not going to Miami then? I think that's what people would ask.
Yeah. So there's, a little over 70,000 ICE detainees held nationally, right? Those people are not just going to be released. They're going to get moved around. And really what we're trying to prevent is what is happening now, which is people being detained who have no criminal record, who are in process. And so what we're trying to do is prevent the next round of people from being detained. Now, you'd say, well, for somebody who says, well, they entered illegally or they're here undocumented and they should have to go through the process. Okay. But that does not necessitate them being in a cage.
Well, I mean, look, if I had my way, we'd just take them back where they came from, right?
But there's a legal process.
Well, they say you got to give legal process to people that aren't U.S. citizens. I think that's where people get frustrated. Look, they're two different conversations. The TPS people are a different conversation than the people who willfully come in here and break the law, right? And I think that's where people get frustrated. They're like, these people keep coming. They keep breaking our laws. We got to do something with them. The courts say we can't just throw them back where they came from.
But
what the heck do you do with these people?
I'm gonna reframe this for you, right? Which is you've talked a lot about the national debt.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
We're against the spending here.
Right. So this is an enormous amount of spending that we're doing to detain people when they could be on an ankle monitor. They could be doing regular check-ins at the ICE office. There's other ways for people to go through this process.
These guys disappear, though, right? I mean,
on an ankle monitor?
Well, no, but okay, so we're going to pay. The ankle monitor's got a cost.
Far less than detention.
Yeah, bad guys cut the ankle monitors off, too. My dad was a federal probation officer. So, I know all about it.
So, that's a question for if somebody has no criminal history and they've been here 10, 20 years, right? They're going to cut it off? That's who you're counting on?
Look, man, if people want to stay in the country, I mean, you broke the law to come here. That's my point. Like, we have to respect the rule of law. So I think you got a case about saying you got to...
Can we get to the other side of it, though?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, no, the other side of it is, right, I talked about the national debt. So the people that are being detained...
So we're going to take all this money. Are we making an agreement right now, Rob, that we're going to pay down the national debt?
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. You can shake my hand right now on it. Absolutely. It's a disaster. is that we're deporting taxpayers.
Well,
no,
I mean, if this is where we're at in our society, that you can break the law and stay here because you pay tax, I think that's kind of dangerous.
You can say that, but this is the question. Okay, so I lived on the border in 2006. Okay, 2006 is around the time when we as a country actually started enforcing our border at the southern border. When we actually, if we caught somebody at the border, started to issue them removal orders. Anybody who entered before that was just sent back. You know, people tell stories all the time. Oh, they give you the wink. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Like, we just have to understand that that's what we were doing as a country. Okay, so now somebody's been here. I have somebody who is now going to be illegal because TPS is being taken away. She entered. She's been here for 30 years, right? She had TPS and has been here legally for most of that time. Okay, she hardworking. She's got kids. She's old enough that her oldest child just had a child, so now she's a grandparent of U.S. citizen children, not just children. Why are we trying to deport her as opposed to saying, why don't you pay a fine? There's many ways that you can penalize somebody who entered the country undocumented 25 years ago rather than, we got to deport you. Please take your money with you. That doesn't make any sense.
So you're of the, what do they call that, where you get to stay, but you don't get any, like, the voting rights and stuff like that?
I'm open to negotiation around it. I don't see how spending billions of dollars to deport hardworking non-criminals helps our country. I don't think that's patriotic.
Okay, how many people are going to participate? You got an estimate, you think, this weekend?
Yeah, we think it'll be a couple thousand across the 62.
Pretty good number.
Yeah. I mean, this is faith-led. I want to be really clear. Like, it is church leaders who are leading this effort, including myself.
What do you think are the odds that Braun's going to respond to this? Like, do you think he's going to see this and go, is it like when the Grinch heard the people singing and then he delivers all the presents back? Like, or do you think this will make any difference?
Yeah, I think it'll make a difference. I think the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you about it shows that, like...
Well, we love people to bring the heat, man. You pitched this idea to me, and I said, let's do it, man. I don't have to agree with you at all. And
no, you don't have to agree.
People.
Look, I think... realistically, our goal is to prevent the renewal of this contract. It's been a disaster. It's been all bad press. Our state's going to lose money on it. We've had people die. One of the people who died, let's be honest about this, one of the people who died turned himself in to self-deport and then died in our custody.
He probably wish he hadn't done that. That's probably...
Well, I'm just saying, like, even when people are doing the thing we're asking them to do, we can't treat them inhumanely.
Now, where I am on your side is like Rokita suing Merrillville, because as a ex-local government person, you do get the right to decide, can our infrastructure support this? Can our water, our sewer, our streets? It doesn't necessarily make you pro-illegal immigration to say, hey, you can't just take a warehouse and then, that's doing
Hold
one
human
thing
beings in it.
and then make it something else. I'm with you on that. I think... And if you're saying they got to do a better job, I'm with you. I just wonder how you prevent the promotion of come here, because if you come here, you're going to get to stay, and how you stop people from illegally entering the country. You're probably right. A lot of these people probably are not a threat to anyone. But if you allow them to stay, you're telling people, come here, and as long as you get in, you can stay.
I disagree with you in a couple of respects. One, this is we're really entering the first time in our country's history we've had the technology to actually monitor that border in a way that we can actually prevent people from entering illegally. Like, this is really within the last 10 years that technology has existed, and we've put the resources into it under the current administration. I think we actually can control who is coming in and out of our country in a way that we haven't done for most of our country's history.
Do you think they're just choosing not to do it?
Choosing not to do what?
Like you mentioned the Biden administration. Do you think that was a choice? Because I feel like these are the things that get people. So remember, Biden becomes president.
Yeah.
He does this press conference. Now with Biden, who knows whether he knows he said it or not. But he's telling these kids what to say on the phone when they call back home to avoid having to go back. And people are like, no, you're just rigging the system in favor of these.
Yeah, I don't defend the Biden administration's handling of any of this.
I think they deliberately were like letting these people in.
I don't try to read into people's minds. I think that we have the resources and the technology to control 99% of who enters and who leaves our country. That has changed. And so now we have to say, okay, but what about all these people who are here, who are paying taxes, who have families full of U.S. citizens and legal permanent residents. What do we do with that? We can deport them. That costs a lot of money and costs us a lot of tax dollars. Or we can say, how do we like penalize what they've done that's illegal, but also move us forward in a way that's actually going to pay down this national debt?
And what do you say to the person who's waited 7 years?
Who is that person?
I mean,
I work in the immigration system.
Yeah, you go through the process. You don't just get to show up and say, I'm a U.S. citizen.
We're detaining the people that are going through the process.
Right, but there are also people that are applying that we're not detaining every person who's going through the process. We're not holding every single person. I mean, you are rewarding bad behavior by doing that. And there are people who are doing it the right way who are not in the Miami facility, right? I mean, don't you feel like those people are going to look and go, what the heck? I should have just...
Who are we talking about? Like, I don't want to talk about a hypothetical. Who exactly? Like, what person? You saying somebody that's married and they're petitioning for them?
I'm saying like people who want to come to this country. Obviously, there's an application process. There's a swearing in ceremony. It takes forever. Like, don't you think those people are going to have some hard feelings about illegal immigrants being allowed to just stay in the country?
I think we're talking about a hypothetical that doesn't totally exist. Our federal government has basically shut down any legal immigration at this point. So I'm not sure who we're actually talking about.
I've seen people taking the swearing-ins and the oath. I mean,
the oath is citizenship.
Right.
Okay. Well, to become a citizen, you have to have been a legal permanent resident for 5 years.
Right. But I'm talking about if you're allowing illegal immigrants to stay in the country and you're like, well, just pay a fine and then you just get to stay. Then why wouldn't everybody just come? Why would
How?
You believe
this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying is that 20 years ago, that's a valid argument. But now,
this is Stuart. You said, well, I don't want the Biden intention. They were just literally letting people go. They were like, go.
Yeah, no, we shouldn't do that.
Okay, but then you said, I don't want to guess their intentions. But clearly the intention was that they were doing this. You get another Democrat president in there, they're going to do it again. I mean, all these front runners are all on board with this. And I think people see that and they're like, if you just let the illegal immigrants stay, the next Democrat president's going to do it again. And we're going to go right back through this cycle all over again.
Yeah, I don't see the same things you see, but that's fine.
That's the beauty of free speech, my friend. Where can people learn more if they want to know about what you guys are doing this weekend and in the future? Where can they do that?
Check us out, the Indiana Organizing Project, indianaorganizing.org. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram. Would love to have you involved. If nothing else, please keep these families in your prayers, because whether or not whoever your parent is, if you're a young, 10-year-old U.S. citizen child, like, it's still traumatic to have to go through this with your family. So please keep them in your prayers. And if you want to support them with a little food or some diapers, we could use your help.
And Stuart is actually a big fan of our show.
I'm a regular listener. I really appreciate
what you do. We found him. That's why we brought him in. We couldn't afford to lose him. Stuart, thank you, my friend.
Hey, thanks so much, Rob. Appreciate you having me.
We'll take a break. Be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
If authentic wood-smoked barbecue is your thing, Double D's Barbecue in Clayton is the place for you. Owners Dennis and Tina Duncan, along with their son Garrett, are from Memphis. So when it comes to barbecue, they're not screwing around. No pellet smokers, no roasters, just authentic wood-smoked Memphis-style barbecue. All of Double D's food is cooked fresh daily, and it's all made from scratch. Double D's Barbecue, located at 40 and 39 in Clayton, is open all day, Wednesday through Saturday, but get there early because once they're sold out, they're done. Check out the full menu, ribs, brisket, and more at ddbbq317.com. Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Is the inside of your house a total mess, like a complete dumpster fire? Call AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning. When you walk into your house after using AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning, you will see and smell the difference. They take great pride in their workers and treat your home like their own. All cleaners pass through a background check and drug screening. Call today and mention you heard about AJ's Picture Perfect cleaning on the Rob Kendall Show, and you will get an incredible $50 off your first clean. AJ's Picture Perfect cleaning serves all of Central Indiana. Book your appointment today by calling 317-530-8148. 317-530-8148. Hey guys, welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. Indiana news, politics, and government you're not going to get anywhere else. Coming up here in just a little bit, Lee Markham, former CEO of Jack's Donuts, is going to be with us. You know, the rise and fall of Jack's Donuts. It's an incredible story. Lee Markham, that was his family business. His grandfather started the business. His dad took it over. Lee took it over from his dad. And, of course, you guys may recall about 10 years ago, there was just this explosion. Jack's Donuts were everywhere. It was a Hoosier institution. It seemed like every suburban community had a Jack's Donuts. And then, and look, Lee Markham at one point was one of the most famous business figures in the state. And it all fell apart right about the time of COVID. And you guys have probably read the reports about those things and investigations and other things that have taken place. And so Lee's going to be with us today to talk about what happened with Jack's Donuts. Why the decline of Jack's Donuts? Why was he, removed as CEO? And his comeback. He's got a new business that he's starting. It's a coffee company and Fresh Line Coffee. We're going to talk about all of that. It's a fascinating conversation. Try to get to the bottom of what exactly, you guys have probably read the stories, what exactly went on with Jack's Donuts and what's going on now. How do you come back from that? How do you lose something that's been in your family for generations? How do you recover? It's a fascinating story. And Lee Markham will be with us here in just a little bit to talk about that. But first, owners Dennis and Tina Duncan, along with their son Garrett, they own Double D's Barbecue. And when it comes to barbecue, they're not screwing around. Authentic, wood-smoked, Memphis-style barbecue. Ribs, brisket, and more. That's what they do at Double D's Barbecue. Mississippi farm-raised catfish. That is the special this weekend, Friday and Saturday. They're open for lunch. They're open for dinner. They've been the winner of Best Ribs and Best Sauce at Ribs Fest in Hendricks County. It is an outstanding dining experience, one you will want to see for yourself. Right there on 40 and 39 where they come together. Ribs, brisket, and more. DDBBQ317.com. DDBBQ317.com. All right, this next topic. Article came to us from the Indiana Capital Chronicle. And I'm reading this article and I'm thinking of the great Vince Lombardi quote. You guys have probably seen this on highlights before. What the hell's going on out here? And it relates to road funding in Indiana. And there's all this conversation now because of the suspension of the gas taxes. How is Indiana going to fund its roads going forward? And to the Capital Chronicle, INDOT did a big presentation for lawmakers the other day. And Capital Chronicle wrote about it. And there was a statistic in the survey that I think every person should be asking what is happening. And the statistic is this. In 2015, it cost about $8.4 million to repair, to maintain a stretch of interstate lane mile. $8.4 million. One interstate lane mile, about $8.4 million. Fast forward to today, that same stretch of road INDOT claims costs $46 million. 8.4 in 2015, 46 million 11 years later. What the hell's happening? I mean, you hear about inflation, right? So I said, okay, what has inflation been since from 2015 to 2026? And non-food and energy inflation is about 38%. Overall inflation, when you factor in energy and food, about 41%. That's abysmal. I mean, that's a total indictment of every person who has played a part in that at a state, local, and federal level. that over 10 years, you've seen about 38% inflation in non-food and energy. That's disgusting. That's the magical money printing factory. It's bad enough. But even if we accept 38% inflation for, as our non-food and energy standard, 46 million is like, what is that? That is 6 times what it was in 2015. That's 600 times. 600% inflation, I'm sorry. 600% inflation for the same stretch of road versus 38% for society as a whole. What's happening? And they didn't go into it in this presentation. And so I think this is one of the things people keep getting frustrated with government about, is they keep always trying to blame things on inflation, yet the expenditures for government far outpace anything going on in inflation. We've seen this with a lot of these school referendums, where they keep saying, well, the cost of everything and inflation. And then people rightfully spell out, these opposition groups say, okay, let's accept inflation. Let's accept, unlike regular people who just have to figure it out, you don't, government. But even if we accept inflation, your expenses, your money coming in has far outpaced inflation. What's the reason for the monetary difference? If your revenue coming in is far greater in this case than, let's say, 41%, which government revenue, way bigger in most cases than 41% over 11 years, you don't get to use inflation as an excuse. It's the growth. It's the inability to do more with less. It's the inability to make do that we have to every single day. So the question every lawmaker should be asking before they move forward, even exploring any sort of changes in funding, because we all know it'll be more funding. When we talk about changes in funding, we know it'll be more funding. The question everybody should be asking, every lawmaker should be asking, because for some reason NDOT didn't want to discuss this, why is this number 600% higher? Why did we go from 8.4 million in 2015 to 46 million in 2026? Until that question gets answered, which the theory I've had for years is the issue is not money. Excuse me. God bless me. Or lack thereof. No cough button here. No cough button here. If the issue, you can't blame that on inflation. It's 600%. 38%, I'm just doing public school math off the top of my head. Let's just say it was 50% inflation. That'd be $4 million. That'd put you at $12 million. That's still 4 times. The increase is still 4 times, even if you accepted the 50% inflation. The issue is not, and I've long said this, it's not a lack of revenue. It's a lack of efficiency with the revenues being given. Everybody else seems to make it work in society but government. You have to. I have to. Jason has to. The one group that doesn't seem to be able to make it work, the government. And the question is why not? And that should be a giant red flag that every lawmaker should be discussing, should be demanding answers to before going forward with any sort of future discussion, which is why is the road cost so much greater than the rest of inflation? Maybe there's a logical answer to it. I don't know. I wish they'd have gone into more detail about it. It seemed frustrating that they just glanced over that on the presentation. It's never a lack of revenue. It's a lack of being efficient with the revenue that you are given. You guys have a dog, but you don't have a fenced-in yard? Maybe your HOA, it's not going to allow you to have a fence. Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime they go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All American Dog Fence. All American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system designed to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. Kelly and Jeff, the owners, they got 3 dogs themselves. They so believed in All American Dog Fence, they use it, they bought the business. And by the way, All American Dog Fence, they can do tens of acres of property. You're not just bound to, I got a quarter of an acre. They can do large properties as well. Protect your pet. Call 317-862-6606, 317-862-6606. Visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. And when you call or you visit their website, allamericandogfence.com, let them know you heard about them on the Rob Kendall Show. And they're going to give you an incredible $200 off your purchase. An incredible $200 off your purchase just by saying, I heard about you on the Rob Kendall Show. 317-862-6606. 317-862-6606. All right, couple of programming notes. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Lee Markham. We'll talk about that in a second. But Monday, we're scheduled to have a big show for you guys. Evan Bayh is going to be here. Of course, the father of Bo Bayh, former governor, former senator. And we're going to talk about, like, what's it like as a dad to watch your son run for public office. You always hear this about sports figures, famous sports figures, when their kids start playing athletics and they'll catch up with them at games. Like, is this harder for you? And they'll say, yeah, it's way harder to be in the stands and not having control over it. Can I ask him, what's it like to, after all those years of being in the public life, in the public spotlight, to now watch your son? I'm going to ask him, is he excited about that? Did he want Bo to do this? One of the things that's really surprised me about this campaign is you haven't heard a lot from Evan Bayh. In fact, really, before this interview, not much of anything. I haven't seen him do hardly any interviews at all, and I think that's interesting. A guy who has an opportunity to be such a gift on the campaign trail, really letting his son do his own thing. We'll ask about that. We'll talk about his time as governor, his time as senator. We'll talk about the changes in the political landscape. Of course, many times, it seemed like for about 12 years there, every time there was a Democrat candidate for president, is Evan Bayh going to be the pick for vice president? We'll ask him, did he ever want to be vice president? So that's going to be an exciting interview coming up on Monday. But next, very fascinating conversation. We do a lot of politics here, but some of the most interesting interviews we do are people that are not from the political world. And I think you guys are going to find this next interview to be just that. Lee Markham is going to be with us. Former CEO of Jack's Donuts. And this was a Hoosier institution, generations in the family. It exploded in growth, and then it seemed like overnight it all fell apart. And a lot of bad headlines. Lee Markham, I know he lost a lot of people that he thought were friends. It was a bad time for him and his family. And so we're going to find out. He hasn't done a lot of interviews about exactly what happened with Jack's Donuts. Why did it fall apart? And we're going to learn about this new business that he has put forth, trying to make we'll call it a comeback. It's a fascinating conversation about the decline and the fall of a Hoosier institution and perhaps a comeback story out of all of it. Lee Markham, former CEO of Jack's Donuts, joins us next. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
I'm Anthony Gary. I started Indy Dwell Real Estate because too many friends, family members, and neighbors had real estate experiences that lacked compassion, explanation, and expertise. You deserve someone in your corner with the heart of a teacher, simplifying every step of the buying or selling process. When you hire me, you get me. Start to finish, you'll never be handed off. No stress, no surprises, just the expert guidance and results you deserve. Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate. Call or text 317-756-1159. 317-756-1159.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
With a lakefront view in beautiful Brazil, the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage is a little out of the way, but totally worth the trip. Down home, made from scratch food, just like the good old days at Grandma's. When you visit the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage, you'll leave more at peace than when you came in. Open 5 to 8 for dinner on Friday and Saturday, and Sundays 11 to 1:30 for the buffet. You must experience the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage. Call 812-443-3003. 812-443-3003. Welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. It's an unbelievable story. We call it a comeback story. Joined in studio, the former CEO of Jack's Donuts, Lee Markham, with us. Lee, hello.
Rob, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for having me.
You have a new business venture that everybody's starting to talk about, and I want to get to in a moment.
Sure.
But first, so many people have asked, and I'm like, I just know what I've read in the news. What the hell happened to Jack's Donuts? I mean, I interviewed you 10 years ago.
Yeah, we've got history, Rob.
You were on the ascent.
Yeah.
Like you had like a couple Jack's Donuts. You're like, you got to interview this guy. This thing's amazing. What happened to Jack's Donuts?
You know, long story short, basically, COVID did a number on us. I tried to fix that by going bigger.
Oh.
And it didn't end up working out, unfortunately. A lot of people want to believe a sexy, scandalous story with it. And the fact of the matter is, it's really not there. It's more of just, I got in over my head. I was put in a position where essentially I needed to sell out and kind of cut my losses. And it was tough doing that with a family company. But ultimately, I always tell myself the days are going to keep going no matter what.
Right.
So it's like you can kind of hold on to that ex-girlfriend if you want to and keep thinking about her, or you can really just kind of move on to the next thing.
Because you're like a legit celebrity.
Locally, I mean, a celebrity is a big word. When somebody says local celebrity, it's kind of like, what is that? But I really loved my time with Jack's. I met great people like you and got to do numerous interviews over the year, and I loved promoting it. But today is a new day, and I'm excited about this new day because when you have Jack's and you have the legacy that was always there, that was the hardest thing to let go of because my grandfather started it, then my dad had it, and then I had it. But Fresh Line Coffee is my thing.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of my new baby that I've really put all of my effort behind the last, I've been working on this for over a year now, and it didn't come to life until May of this year.
Okay, so let me ask you about like pivoting from one business to the next, because there's all these articles written about Jack's, right? Like basically what happened was, according to the news, right? And you know how us bastards in the news are, right? That you created this sort of central hub,
correct,
to get products to your affiliates, to your franchisees, right?
Yes.
And something went wrong with that, right?
That is essentially what it was. It was that, and legally, that's really all I can say about it is that is what happened. Essentially, that's what it was. And when the media gets a hold of a story, sometimes it can be twisted in a lot of different ways. And so what I was doing was I was fighting some things that weren't necessarily true or being only told a small percentage of the story.
Because they basically made you out to be an American greed.
They did. Yeah, they really did.
And I going to show up on CNBC.
I thought, I can remember it was like, hey, you guys want to see my boat? Because I don't have one. Do you want to see my vacation home? Because I don't have one.
What is that like, though? Because like I said, you weren't just a business owner. You were at Pacers games. You were at all these things. Do you have to like start answering questions from people, your friends? Like, what is that like?
I'll tell you, the real friends were the ones who just called and said, hey, man, I love you. I'm here if you need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
And then you had the other ones who called and they were like, hey, can you talk about anything? And then we had other ones that were, I lost some friends in the process.
Really?
A lot of friends, actually. Some really, really good friends.
Were they really your friends?
That's what I'm wondering now.
Yeah.
And that's the truth, is that you're like, okay, you enjoyed the free ride, you enjoyed the trips, you enjoyed the Pacer games, but now all of a sudden you don't want anything to do with me. And that's just part of life, that even in your 40s, I'm 45 now, you're still learning. And it's just a matter of what I've decided I want to do, Rob, is I'm not going to let a bad chapter in my life, the roughest chapter of my life, define who I am.
Because it was your family's business.
100%.
Your grandfather started the business.
It was personal. And, I'll tell you, throughout all this, my dad, who owned it before I did, has been my biggest supporter.
Yeah.
He saw the struggles I was going through with COVID. He saw how hard I fought for Jax over the years. And I've told people, I'm like, I ran this company for 18 years. It was my other child. I mean, it was like, it's my wife and children, and Jax was right underneath it. And now Fresh Line Coffee is right there with it.
All right, so let's talk about starting another business. I think people want to know, though, how do you transition when you are essentially the head guy?
Yeah.
Like, how does that transition work out of that company? What happened there?
It was a slow transition. The new people came in. I gave them my 2 cents on things. And then it was kind of like, here's some advice for this. Here's some advice for that. Kind of handing over the reins. And it took really about, I don't know, it was a pretty long process, but once it was over, it's over, and I'm happy with this new chapter.
It seems like it'd be like selling a house you've lived in your whole life, like a
house, your family, everything. I mean, the whole shebang, because it was my life. It was my identity. And when I do something, I've learned throughout all this, I truly am an entrepreneur. I'm not a donut guy. I'm an entrepreneur. Now I'm a coffee guy. And
you're a guy.
Yeah, I'm a guy who just likes to build things.
Yeah.
So it was like handing over the keys to the castle. It wasn't something I necessarily wanted to do, but it was a position that I was forced into based on my actions of just trying to go too big. And that's what life is. I hope that people, once this is all, and I'm on the tail end of all of this Jax drama, I hope that if anything, I can share my story to people to help them understand that their worst days don't have to define them.
Lee Markham is our guest, former CEO of Jax Donuts. We're talking about your new business venture here in a second. Like, so when I got fired from IBC, I was like, I'm not staying at home.
Sure.
Right? We came here and we did
exactly.
this.
Yeah.
How long, like, was there a grieving process? That may be a horrible way to ask the question.
That's probably the best way to say it, is it's like losing a member of the family.
Yeah.
It genuinely is. It was my identity. And so, yeah, there were some dark days at home. I had a 6-month period where I was still helping out, but ultimately that's all I did. I didn't do really anything else. And so, but this idea came to me because I could never get anybody to get excited about coffee as much as I was.
You got sold coffee.
Yeah, we did. But I couldn't get everybody on the team on board with it the way that I wanted them to.
When you say a team, like what is a large corporation, which I mean, Jax sort of became.
Yeah.
Like, what does that even look like when you say I can't get the team on? Take us inside.
The franchisees, the staff members that were just like, hey, we're fine slinging donuts. And I get that. It's okay. But there's something in a weird way that's almost like romantic about coffee to me.
Oh,
that sounds crazy.
Here we go.
And to be completely
always
honest
a salesman.
well, you know what? It was like coffee represented what I was going through in my life because it was the only steady thing I had. Right. That and my wife and my kids and my parents and my siblings. That's it. Everything else was kind of off the table. And so coffee was the thing, and I always loved coffee. And I thought, you know what? I know enough about this industry. I think I could shake it up a little bit. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, Frontline Coffee.
Yeah, Fresh Line.
Or Fresh Line, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Fresh Line Coffee.
Yeah.
But take us through, like, how do you even go about starting that? Because I would assume when you're going for financing or you're going from investors or whatever it might be, like, you've got to, people are going to Google you. They're going to see these reports. Like, what do you do? How do you deal with that?
To be honest with you, it was one of those things from a financial standpoint. I financed it 100% myself. I did what I had to do to make it work.
So
and
this is all you?
This is all 100% me. There was nothing, there's no Nepo baby with this. This is all me. And so I basically sold some things that I had that had some value. And basically, yeah, so those some of those went towards that. So I really emptied the kitchen sink to pay for this.
Do you have to ask your wife to do that?
I do. Yes, I do.
And how did that go?
You know what? It wasn't the easiest conversation, but she's been supportive of me every step of the way, which was nice. But I mean, she was like, "You're basically selling your childhood," and I was like, "Hey, it is what it is." And so I did it. I basically got the money started to get this thing going, and we're making money now. And as it gets growing, it's putting money back into the company.
Wow, that's so wild that you went through all of that, and your response was, "I'm going to hawk all my stuff."
Pretty much.
Is there a sense of like, I have to make good for what happened?
100%. That's exactly what it is. Like I said earlier, I don't want to go through all of that. All of the negativity I had for nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. That was my thing where I just said, I didn't go through hell to just stay there. And so it's about learning from your lessons, being smarter. And it's just, the hardest time of my life is what it was. And it sucked. It just really was. And I just thought, I'm a fighter. And like you said, I can't sit at home all the time and feel sorry for myself. So, yeah.
So like Jason and I owned a radio station together for about 10 years. And when we sold the station for a while, we kind of kept like eyes on it because you feel like it's still partly yours. Like, do you still do that with Jax? Do you still like, I wonder how they're doing? I wonder, you use the ex-girlfriend analogy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, not anymore. It's kind of one of those things I've kind of turned my head away from simply because I am focused 100% on Freshline Coffee. And I know that's the PC answer, but it's the truth. It's just, I was obsessed with Jax 24/7.
Yeah.
And now it's Freshline Coffee. And it's like, I don't care what the outside world has to say because I wouldn't ever, if I'm not going to ask anybody for their opinion, why the hell would I care what they think of me?
10 years ago when I interviewed you, we were in a little county radio station, right? WYRZ.
Yeah.
And you were growing this business, and we were both younger and skinnier and less gray hair.
Yeah.
And you had an incredible ambition.
Yeah.
Have you found your ambition has changed as you have aged?
If anything, it's gotten stronger.
Really?
For as crazy as that sounds, I know so many people that, and I'm not knocking on these people who, I'm 45, people that are my age in their 40s and early 50s that are like backing off, that they're like, no, I'm trying to find less things to do.
Yeah.
That is just not me. I absolutely love building and I love talking about ideas with people. I'll talk to anybody any day of the week.
I love that you sold all your stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. I was like, because I was thinking.
Like when I say valuables, I don't mean diamonds and jewels.
Yeah.
I mean action figures. Yeah. I mean some memorabilia I've collected over the years. Some autographed jerseys that I've had for quite a while that meant absolutely everything to me. But it's like, to hell with it, man. I don't care. This is my story, and I'm not gonna let these other people define what I've done and what I've become.
Because I was thinking, like, how do you go about even getting investors going through what you went through? And you're just like, I was my own investor.
Well, that's the thing, is that I knew as I was going through all of this that I wasn't going to get anybody to help me out.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like it falls on me. I've got 3 kids I've got to feed.
Yeah.
I've got a wife. And it's just like, I was like, to hell with everybody else. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I mean, when I started this, oh my God, there were so many people that were like, he can't do that. It's like, why not? This is still America, isn't it? Yeah, that you can play that over and over. This is still America, but no, it was like, I just can't sit here and let things come to me. I have to go out and get what I want. And it's who I am. It's just been embedded in me. My mom is probably the most badass woman you'll ever meet in your life in regards to ambition. I mean, she has X amount of degrees that she never took shit from anyone. And so that's kind of where I get a lot of it from. And and it's just, and my dad had the business, but my dad only had one store when he ran it.
Yeah.
So he was just kind of happy being that guy. Obviously, being a business owner, you have to have ambition, but this drive I have is 100% for my mom.
All right, Freshline Coffee.
Yep.
How do you start I'm picturing like in your house, there's like a room where you're roasting coffee, and what do you do?
Well, I have a roaster partner that I use here in Indianapolis, and so that was like figuring out the roast we want to do. It's somebody I had known for years. And
Did you make it yourself?
No.
Like the sample?
No, I contributed to the samples.
Yeah.
I'm not a roaster. But I'm a connoisseur of coffee.
Okay.
And so I have been for years. And so in 2018, when I was with Jax, I went to a coffee convention in Seattle, which if you've ever, you know Tiger King.
Yeah.
All right. So you remember in Tiger King, there was a line where one of the guys was talking about wild animals. He goes, everybody that is into wild animals, there's something off about them, but the cat people, they're a whole other breed. The restaurant industry, the food industry, the beverage industry is like that. You have to be a little off to get in that industry. The coffee people, they're the cat people
No
in that
kidding.
industry. They really are. And so I went out there and I had coffee from all over the country and all over the world, and it was so much better. And there were bigger companies that I had recognized, and the coffee samples that they were handing out were not like, this is not like what you get in the store.
Right.
And the guy was with my coffee consultant. He told me, he said, well, it's because it's not fresh. And I'm like, well, why don't they serve it fresh? He's like, because that goes against the whole industry, the grocery store industry side of it. And so that always stuck in my head is, why is that? And so I started doing some research and found out that all the natural antioxidants and all the good stuff that's in coffee is essentially gone 30 to 45 days after it's roasted.
So you got to get it to the people fast.
So you really do. So like when you watch the Today Show in the morning and they're like, oh, the positive effects of coffee and this and that, it's all gone by the time you drink it. So when Harvard has a new study about something, it's gone. So I did some research and found out that 30 to 45 days afterwards, it's gone. And not only that, the flavor is the thing that really jumps out at you. Because once you have fresh coffee, you can't go back. It's like having stale milk and then fresh milk.
Right.
Even though my body does not. My body rejects any kind of milk. But yeah.
So tell us about Freshline Coffee. Like, is it in stores now?
100% online, freshlinecoffeeco.com.
Freshlinecoffeeco.com.
Yeah. I wanted Freshline Coffee, but some guy online owns it, and he would never get back to me to get the name.
He wouldn't sell it back to you.
So he wouldn't even contact me. So Freshline.
Somebody who's wed to his website.
Yeah. So as I was doing this, fresh coffee was my idea. But you need a brand behind it. And so one of my cousins owns a big company, and he has somebody that works in marketing for him. And I'd known this woman before, met her a few times. And so I reached out. So I said, hey, do you care if I reach out to Lauren? Because I want some help with marketing. And he was like, yeah, please do. It was actually kind of his idea, really. And so I ended up reaching out to this woman, and we had like a passing lunch in Florida while I was down there for Jack's last year. And so as we're down there, I'm sitting with her, and she's like, well, what's your idea? And I was like, well, fresh coffee. And she was like, but you have to have like a personality, a brand behind it. And I know that more than anyone. And so my idea was just fresh. And she doesn't live up here. She lives in Florida. So she didn't know all the media mess that was going around with me. So I'm giving her this story.
It's probably nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know was after we had met and I told her about it, she went home and Googled me, and she was like, saw right through my bullshit.
Yeah, and you're like the Night Stalker.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And so she was like, let's do something together. And I have to give credit where credit's due. Lauren, she actually was the one who came back, and we talked for, this lunch was, or this run-in was really, really brief, but it was enough for her to go home, Google me. She called me, and she was like, all right, now that you gave me your bullshit story, tell me the real deal. And so I was like, okay. And so I kind of laid it out to her what was going on up here after she'd Googled everything. And so she then kind of went back to the drawing board, and she was like, it has to be about you. She was like, for you to already be starting a company is something that people could really get behind. And that's what Freshline is. It's about redemption. We have 4 roasts right now. Fresh Start, Still Standing, The Comeback, and Legacy. And essentially when she told me those names, it was like, wow, that's
it's
really
your story.
Yeah. And so
you are the coffee.
And that's what's made it easy to go out and promote it, because I'm not just saying fresh. No, this brand represents people, I think, that are, no matter what phase they are in their life, whether you're a college kid, whether you're an adult, whether you're retired, you think life's always going to go like this. And for those listening, I'm pointing my hand up. Okay. But
we are on the apple, the spot by the
and so, but what do you do when things don't go the way you think it is?
Okay. Before I let you go, I have to ask, because you mentioned it several times.
Mm-hmm.
You as a merchant on the ascend, can you talk about the damage basically the government did to guys like you during COVID?
I will tell you that it's one of those situations where I think it was more about being left in the dark, because I don't like having to hear on nightly news things that are going on.
Yeah.
It's like you would rather just hear it from the horse's mouth, and the whole disconnection with everything was extremely, extremely difficult.
Because your stores had to shut down for a period.
A few of them did, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, how do you make money when
you can't? And I should say, each county was different. Some stores were required to, and that was another thing that was more confusing, because I'm on the phone calling Hamilton County.
Yeah.
I'm calling everywhere around.
Yeah.
Who I'm calling Jay County. I'm calling everybody like, what's the plan here? Madison County.
You've got this new way you're making these donuts now, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to know how many do you make.
100%, yeah. And it was like, well, at that time, all of our stores were still operating independently, which made it more difficult because Madison County's rules are different than Henry County's. And so you're just like, what the hell are we supposed to do here? So it was a struggle. And ultimately, for me personally, it didn't end up working out. But, that's life. I can sit here and complain about how things didn't work out for me, but what's that going to do? That's not going to put food on the table for my kids.
If you had to do it, would you go through the whole thing again, like the whole Jack's Donuts experience? Because the last couple of years have not been great for you.
No,
would you do it again?
I wish there were some people who were hurt because of my actions. I wish that my actions were not intentional. They just happened. But I wish
the news made you out to be like,
oh yeah, with the exception of the people that I hurt that didn't want to hurt, life is about experiences and lessons. And so I don't want to sit here. I don't ever put myself up as a religious man. I do believe in God, but I also believe one of the issues we have with religion and faith in general is it's not Jesus, it's his fan club. And so that's why I don't really talk about my faith as much, but I will tell you that I did have faith throughout that entire time, that I knew that I was going to be taken care of and I knew I was going to be looked after. And so, for as silly to some people as it sounds, people who are believers, it doesn't. I really relied on my faith a lot of just saying, hey, how do I get through this? And how am I going to get through this? And because essentially it's all I had. I mean, it really was all I had.
Yes. We have a mutual friend and he said he's back. And I was like, there's no way he's back. And I was like, I'll be darned. There's the company. He's back.
And the friend you're talking about I cannot say enough amazing, amazing things about. So thank you, Jeremiah.
Yeah, Jeremiah Morrill, friend of our show.
Great guy.
Again, the website, if people want to learn
FreshlineCoffeeCo.com. Go to find us all. We're on all the socials. We're making the TikToks. We're doing the tweets. We're doing it, or the X's, whatever they are now. Facebooking, the whole shebang.
All right, you got to make this one work because I'm not interviewing you about another
Fair enough
business.
Rob, I have no choice at this point. So yeah, follow it, buy a bag of coffee, find some inspiration in our roast, enjoy it, because once you've had it, I promise you, when you've had fresh, you won't go back.
Lee Markham, thank you.
Rob, thank you.
Yeah, we'll take a break. Be back.
Always good seeing you.
You're watching Rob Kendall Show. Do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606 or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get $200 off a new installation.
In Congress, I get all sorts of insider stock tips. Sure, I cashed in. It's my Beltway bonus. But now here comes Senator Todd Young with his total ban on congressional stock trades.
Freaking Mr. Clean Marine. Todd Young's got real guts taking us on. Young's gonna cost me millions.
Had enough of this? Contact Senator Todd Young to say thanks and let him know that you stand with his plan to ban stock trading for all members of Congress.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. Hour 3 is upon us. Thanks to our great friend John Rust for making our third hour possible each day as we bring you Indiana news, politics, and government you're not going to find anywhere else. If you haven't done so yet, RSVP, the John Rust big event, Saturday, October the 3rd. You are invited. Totally free to attend. Double D's, catering lunch. We got the antique car show, patriotic music. I'm going to give a speech, birthday cake for Jason's birthday. Just a fun chance, fun opportunity for you, the fabulous viewers, listeners, the Rob Kendall Show, to get together. All you got to do, RSVP, rustforamerica@gmail.com, rustforamerica@gmail.com. Tell John your name, how many people you're bringing with you, and then bam, you are in. Palatial Rust Estate, Greater Seymour area. We'll see you Saturday, October the 3rd. Help us out if you haven't done so yet. Give us that thumbs up button, please. Like the show. Really helps us grow this program. Whether you're watching us live on YouTube, on demand on YouTube over the weekend, wherever it may be, give us that little thumbs up. Really helps us grow the program. It's Friday, and whether it's Friday lunch, Friday dinner, or Sunday brunch buffet, check out the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro in beautiful Brazil. No Saturday dining this week. They got 2 weddings to cater, and so no Saturday dining. But if you're looking for dinner or lunch today, or the brunch buffet on Sunday, the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro is the place for you. They got the cottage there as well. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, spa-like tile showers, full kitchen, living room with a fireplace, laundry facilities, and a deck overlooking the lake. And of course, I know this is an audience favorite, if you stay at the cottage, Andy will deliver your breakfast in a picnic basket 8:30 the next morning. Plan the perfect weekend away. Honeysuckle Hill Bistro property on the water in beautiful Brazil. Far enough to get out of the way, close enough you can get back pretty quick. That's the way it works there. See the spa, see the full menu for the restaurant. Just Google Honeysuckle Hill Bistro, and reservations are not required but preferred for the restaurant, and they are required for the cabin. 812-443-3003, 812-443-3003. All right, so here's what we're doing today. We've had our 2 interviews. We'll post those up later on the YouTube, the video section of the YouTube page. You want to go back and watch those. 2 interesting guests today. It's Friday. We want to have a little fun. You guys were cooking in the chat earlier, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna do the 3rd hour with the chat, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. For those of you who are new, welcome. Here's how it works. All you got to do to be a part of the YouTube chat is subscribe to our channel. That's it. Then boom, you're in, and you can chat with hundreds of other Rob Kendall Show fans. Into the show, Jason scours the YouTube chat, and then he reads the best YouTube comments of the day, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. It sparks further conversation about topics we have covered on the show. And you guys were cooking today in the YouTube chat, especially during the Stuart Mora interview. So we said, let's just extend the chat a little bit. It's Friday. Let's have some fun. And with that, we bring in producer Jason.
In other words, Rob ran out of material on a Friday.
Friday.
Got the gov coming in a little bit.
Former governor, Senator Evan Bayh will be here. We'll be taping interview for Monday. I got to work tonight, too. Got football games tonight.
Oh, it's Friday, right? Friday night football.
It's
Friday Night Lights.
It's a full world.
Mm-hmm. There
anyway.
you go. I don't. I'm going home.
No, you got
doing
nothing.
That's right.
You got nothing.
May go to Walmart, but or I may save that for tomorrow morning. That's the big dilemma for the for my next 24 hours.
All right.
All right.
But in the meantime, it's your turn to step up.
Thank you very much. I will do the stepping. If your water heater, water softener, well pump goes out, even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. Black Sheep Plumbing can get the job done at a fraction of the cost of the big guys. And Black Sheep Plumbing says thank you to all military, firefighters, and police officers with an American Heroes discount. Owner John McKinney, he's a Hoosier lifer, takes great pride, stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee. And your water heater, just like the one I had installed by John from Black Sheep Plumbing, gave me a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Hopefully, I'll never need that, but if I do, I can give John a call. It's 765-315-7558, 765-315-7558, Black Sheep Plumbing.
You think Evan's going to be impressed by the wrestling figures?
May want to move those.
Nah.
No?
We are who we are, man.
That is true. He probably knows.
I'm sure Bo has told him what he's in store for.
Filled him in now, Dad, before you go.
I don't think he thinks he's showing up to the Rogan studio here.
Who's this Rob Kendall character?
He's going to show up to this place and be like, what the hell did you people
Why am I going down into a bunker for this? Should I be concerned about safety? Are there snipers outside? What's going on guarding the building? Okay. All right. So we get to it. And, actually, Evan Bayh, whether you agreed with him or not, toward the end there, I think the biggest the slam a lot of people had was he was getting kind of buddy-buddy with Hillary.
Yeah.
When it kind of looked like Hillary was going to win the presidency over Trump. So he was kind of, getting was that back earlier against Obama?
No, it was Obama. That was the
Obama,
first time.
Yeah, there we go.
So basically, like, it was 2000, 04, and 08. He was always like the front runner for vice president.
Mm-hmm.
They were always like, it's going to be Evan Bayh.
Mm-hmm.
And then it never was Evan Bayh.
Right.
So that's one of the things I want to ask him today.
I think he's too clean.
Did you ever actually want to be vice president, or did people just like make that up for you? Well, yeah, you think about like the modern era of politician we have today, and how Evan Bayh, whether you liked his politics or you didn't, he always handled himself with dignity. He was always a likable
he always
guy.
represented Indiana well, whether you, again, liked his politics or not. He wasn't a kook. I mean, look at the last couple governors we've had.
I mean, I'm just going to be fascinated to see whether he ever even wanted to be vice president, because everybody always signed him up for it. It's like, maybe he didn't even want to do it.
Well, and oftentimes, again, everybody put him in bed with Hillary. Well, not compare. He was with Hillary, so they looked at him as having maybe the same philosophy, but a lot of time you pick a vice president that has a little different frame of mind than you, maybe isn't as kooky as you, maybe isn't into, all the, because you've got to get a certain demographic of people to vote. So I think she would have been looking at him to get the moderate, normal people,
right,
as opposed to her kooky, liberal.
The second time
fanatic.
when she didn't get it in 08. That's why I was thinking,
right.
Who'd she pick the first time? There was no first time.
No.
Obama had Biden, right? Obama had Biden, and then Hillary took Kane the second time.
Wow.
But that was when Evan was running for Senate here again. But I'm curious about that.
He could have helped out with a few points there if he'd have been the vice president with her instead of Kane.
He would have been way better than Kane.
Kane and Tim Walz, two of the just peas in a pod.
I sort of view Mitch and Bayh as like the same, where it's like everybody kept signing them up. Oh, Mitch Daniels president, and he was like, I don't want to be president.
Right.
And I'm curious about that. And I also want to know, like, as a dad, is it hard to you see that with sports all the time, where they'll interview some famous sports player who's watching his kid in the stands, and they'll talk about how much harder it is to watch your kid play because you don't have any control over the outcome and you love your kid. And I'm going to be curious, like, is it hard to watch your kid do the thing, that you did? So anyway, that's Monday. Evan Bayh will be with us.
Okay. So let's continue on then. MLM Warriors starts us off in the chat today. Today is Radio Commercial Day.
It's what?
It's Radio Commercial Day. We observed it by playing commercials today on Radio Commercial Day.
Yes. We did.
MLM Warriors, don't question his facts.
He's on the days.
Rusty B, morning all. TGIF, watching Eclipse has me dragging.
There was an eclipse last night.
There was an eclipse last night.
Like at midnight.
Yeah, I was fast asleep.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about it until this morning. I was like, well, that doesn't do me any good now.
Look, the moon's gone. Oh, there it is again. I've never been a big fan of the eclipse. Kind of like to me, like fireworks. Like, okay.
What about the one that was during the day a few years ago?
That's what I'm saying.
You didn't go outside and watch it?
No, I think we did, actually. That's because the family, but I mean, I guess I do. That was pretty cool. That was an unusual one. That was a total eclipse, or almost a total eclipse. But
of the heart.
But now that I've seen it, it's like okay.
Yeah.
Probably won't be another one in my lifetime. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, the old man 68. Happy Friday, everyone. Let's get the weekend kicked off right with another killer show from Rob and producer Jason. An adequate show for a Friday, I think. Couple good interviews there. Good job, Rob.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't mean adequate as an insult. I mean, you did a
I was thinking,
the bar's always up here. It's just it's hard to top yourself on a daily basis.
I was thinking about this. You and I were talking about this. I think we've only taken 2 days off since we started this show.
And we really didn't take 2 days off. They were other people's work day off too.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like Memorial Day is not a day off technically. I mean, everybody's off, so it is a day off, but it's not like we played hooky.
I think 4th of July.
Well, the 3rd of July we took off but a lot of businesses took off on the 3rd of July.
I'm saying I don't think we have taken a single day off other than
here. We have drug in every day. And we've got, what do we got coming up? We got Labor Day coming up.
We're taking Labor Day off.
And then we got Thanksgiving, which I think we should take Thursday and Friday off.
I agree with that.
And then we've got Christmas, which is on a Friday. I was looking at the calendar last night for this reason, like, when do we get to take off again? And Christmas Day is on a Friday.
Oh.
So maybe we take off Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I don't know.
Maybe I'll make something special for Christmas Eve.
Well, I figured you'd want to work Christmas Eve. So, okay, we get the Friday off, so we get a 3-day weekend there. And then that would mean also that January 1st would fall on a Friday.
Perfect. We'll take that
2
off.
2 weeks in a row we get to, and then we got to cruise all the way through till
Valentine's Day?
Good Friday. You're taking Valentine's Day off.
We're not taking President's Day off? MLK Day?
Oh, see, I just all those. Oh, thanks, Rob.
Maybe we should lump them all into one giant holiday.
I didn't realize in my contract I had all those days off. That's awesome. All right, continuing on. Kevin Branham. Good morning, Rob and Jason. Also, the eclipse was cool. Well, see, I guess I missed it. All the other celestial events were clouded out for me. Apparently, he got to see the eclipse last night, though. He adds, time to run out for the first Diet Coke of the day for the wife. I'll be back. Hopefully, he made it back.
Why don't you just buy a bunch of Diet Cokes?
Because she probably likes the fountain Diet Coke.
Oh, yeah.
He goes to McDonald's and gets that.
I got you.
Every morning.
Yep.
And I think a few times a day. Rusty B, everybody's got to have their vice. Rusty B, mine are turned off, but still, okay, the points. Okay, I just like to talk in here. I've been first in, I've had the first like, and I've been the number one fan, so I've done it all.
He's 3P, or the
trifecta.
The trifecta, yes,
That's
thank you.
right. Ever since he was a young boy,
that
was his dream.
Yes.
And now he's got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
He's got to sit back and watch everybody
Good on
else.
him.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Josh Richardson, don't forget to smash that like button. Driver, the interview with the Jax CEO will be good to hear today.
Yeah, that was interesting story, right?
These are all before the show even started, so we'll get to the stuff during the show. Nicholas Kurtz, I kind of like to do it as an introductory. Slides us into the chat, does kind of like some greeting the family as they come in.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the way we do it here. Nicholas Kurtz, producer Jason, in case you forgot, brother, you are a legend. That's why I like to start at the beginning of the chat. We have nothing else to
fan
talk
club.
about. Yeah.
It's your fan club.
Steve Green with an E. Good morning, all. We'll be headed back from the Kentucky Dam State Park this morning. Unless you bring a boat or a UTV, I do not recommend it.
Oh?
Some of those places, there's just nothing to do but drive around and look. And after you've seen the lake, you got to be participating in the lake activities or it's boring. And that would be apparently Kentucky Dam.
Steve Green with an E seems like a fun guy to roll around with, though.
I could see Steve Green with an E and Mrs. Green with an E driving around in like an RV.
Yeah.
All right. The 0601 board, I propose we change the Wabash to the American River.
Oh, bam.
Yeah. Get it started here.
Kind of getting silly, isn't it?
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, I call it the Indiana River. We should have an Indiana River.
Oh, I'm saying just like the Lake Ontario, no Lake America. It's kind of getting silly.
If I became governor, I would have a declaration of
Who
Indiana
controls
River.
the lakes? Who does does the state control the lake?
The state? Oh yeah, they control the lakes and the
No,
locks
because Lake Ontario, and he's naming it Lake
that's
America.
a great lake bordered by several states and 2 countries.
Oh.
White River, I think you could probably change the name to Indiana River. Nobody would probably would care. Driver, he is making us all buy updated maps, and our old maps become valuable.
You get one of those maps Diego was giving away.
You get a Trump map.
With his name on it.
Oh, there we go. Diego controls the states. Sue Seifert, what's sad is this distinction will still work on far too many people. I'm not sure what that referred to. Sorry, that was out of context. Don B., but thank you for the comment there, Sue. Sue's a regular chatter there. Don B., change the name of California to Californistan. George Schoolcraft. Rob, you've started your Trump bashing early today.
Well, I don't think treating both sides equally is bashing. I think we launched right in the next segment to things the Democrats were doing that we didn't like. It's called treating everyone equally.
Rob is an equal opportunity basher.
I mean, come on. All the stuff going on in the world right now, or the country or whatever, and you're worried about the name of a lake. Like, how does that? You think Canada's just going to be like, well, it's over for us now?
Well, I don't think it takes a lot of priority. I think, he can multitask and sign.
He clearly was very on it and very into it. He said he'd given it a lot of thought.
Well, you got to have fun in the job.
There ain't nothing fun right now about the country.
It can't be all Iran. All right. Kevin Branham, map and globe makers are happy. MLM Warriors, Trump is trying to make changes all of the United States world to leave his mark. A bunch of fluff. Well, if he changes the names, it will leave a mark. It'll be historically. President Trump changed the name of the Gulf. All right.
Can he just do that on his own?
Is that official, the Gulf of America? Is that official, or was that just
Well, that's what he says it is.
Yeah.
I don't think Mexico refers to it as that.
Well, who cares?
Or anybody else.
Most of them are living here, so, All right. The Chris Chafin. Inflation equals tariffs, higher gas prices, and out-of-control spending, all on the president. I don't disagree, but let's not forget the previous 4 years. Not that, it's...
but we were screaming about that then, too.
And that's not Biden's fault alone either. That's the Congress, Senate. They all had a hand in. They could have done things. So
yeah, and in 2020,
let's not put it all on one person.
Like $5 trillion.
Let's not put it all on one person. What has Congress done to rein in spending?
Nothing.
There we go.
And if you look at the last time we had a balanced budget...
What's Indiana done to rein in spending?
Nothing.
Let's blame Trump.
1996, last time we had the balanced budget amendment passed, which I believe that was in place through 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I think from like 97 through 2000, they had a balanced budget. It was the Republicans winning the House in 94 and forcing Clinton to come to the table. Now, he did it. He didn't have to. But, yeah, so you're right.
That's the way that's the way it should work.
That's exactly right. And this is why I'm so pissed off the Republicans. They've had the House since 2022. What do? They just keep spending more money. They had the House and the Senate under Trump at one point. What do? They keep spending money. Every side is to blame. Oh, they're all to blame.
The only person that's taken the personal hit for the entire country, the real patriot, is John Rust. Loses money 3 years out of 4 on his business. You ever hear him complain about it? He takes that hit. He doesn't raise his prices to make a massive profit.
I saw the
John
eggs
Rust.
were down again. They were talking about things that have not risen in price, and they said the eggs were one of them.
Poor John. This may be one of the lose years. All right. Charles Ludi. I fished Lake Ontario when I was 7. Renaming the lake Lake America is underwhelming and petty, but at least it helps with my monthly expenses. Oh, wait.
Wasn't Lake Ontario the one in the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald?
I couldn't tell you.
Wasn't that the lake?
Couldn't tell you.
Now it doesn't work.
I pay no attention to Canadian things.
Doesn't work with the if it's Lake of America, it doesn't work.
All right, Sue Seifert. Bolton, though, is a pompous warmonger.
Oh, totally.
So there we go.
Oh, totally. And I think I clarified. He's not a great guy.
MLM Warriors, I really enjoy the Rob Kendall Show. Rob earned my like. I pressed the like button.
If you haven't done so yet, that really helps us out. You're really helping the Rob Kendall Show. Hit that thumbs up button.
Whoops, what's this? Let's see. Wino Gina, when we go to Destin, I see lots of Gulf of America signs. I think mostly it's Indiana people, though. So they do have signs, Gulf of America. Good to know. Good to know.
Okay.
All right. Bob Schwarm. We need a president with Trump's balls and Reagan's demeanor and communication skills.
Bob used to own All American Dog Fence. It was Indiana Dog Fence.
There we go.
You can ask Bob
Proud
what a
American
great product
company.
it is if you have any questions.
Whispering Fools. I don't know if that's a new one or not. Whispering Fools. I think Lake USA sounds better. Yeah. Than Lake America. Well, you got the Gulf of America. Now you got Lake America. So maybe
Seems like he's
USA,
just putting America behind everything.
Little bit of.
He's not putting a lot of effort into the naming.
Yeah. George Schoolcraft, border closed, crime down, largest tax decrease in history, drug prices down, gas prices down, child savings accounts manufacturing coming back. Oh, child savings accounts, manufacturing coming back. Inflation 3% was 9.1%. I think he's making a case for Trump's done some pretty decent things.
Gas prices are down?
Compared to Biden.
No. There was a period where
Are
gas
we higher
prices,
now than it was with Biden?
When Trump took office, which is Biden, gas prices are much higher. There was a period with that Ukraine stuff where they were high. But when Trump took over, that's gas prices under Biden. It's much higher now than when he took over. That's Biden.
Okay. Well, you listed.
Let's go back to the tax cuts for a second.
Borders
shall we?
closed.
The border's fine. The border's much better.
That was a big problem.
No dispute there.
Mm-hmm.
The tax cuts are BS because they're not backed up with any spending cuts. And when you cut revenue to the Treasury without cutting spending, one of two things. It gets printed, which means it's inflation, which is that you're getting your tax increase back, or you're making somebody else pay for it.
Would gas prices be down if Kamala was president? Would the border be closed if Kamala
Gas
was
prices would
president?
probably be what they were when Trump took office.
Would crime be down? Would drug
No. Let's go back
prices
to
be
the
down?
gas prices. Gas prices would be probably what when Biden took office. If you like that, fine. That's much better
You
than
mean
it is
left
today.
office?
What?
You mean left office? When he left office? You
Yeah,
said when he took office.
Well, they're probably about the same then, too. I mean, you had the spike in the middle. But, like, this country is running straight to hell, and people are like, look at how great it is. No, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's not saying it's not. It's just saying that, again, it could be worse. And I think, again, it just take the one aspect, the border. And now everybody's like, well, who cares? It's closed. It should be closed. It should. Okay, but it wouldn't have been closed, and we would have had how many more millions of people in here between the election and now, what would that have done to the economy?
Yeah, but this is this is a false premised argument in which you're saying
it's just one argument. It's not the overall. It doesn't.
Right,
I'm not saying it's.
Have I ever told you, man, it'd be awesome if Kamala was president? Like never, ever have I never. But I still have an obligation
There's always a what if.
Point out the obvious, which is just because some guy does one thing good over here, it doesn't mean we ignore all the stuff over here that are just blatant failures. I mean, that are affecting our lives. It doesn't make you Trump bashing. It makes you like, I'm treating him the same way I treat every other politician.
I'm not arguing that he's done that he hasn't done great. I'm just saying could have been worse. Would have been worse. The Chris Chafin new sponsorship opportunity. Have a lion, but don't have a fence. All right.
I should ask Jeff and Kelly if they could. If
would it keep a lion in?
All American Dog Fence would.
Yeah, maybe they need to go to the owner of the lion with the lioness cub.
Isn't that wild that story appears to be just made up?
And there's pictures on the internet, right? And everybody's like, well, I saw the picture, and it had a harness on there that looked domesticated. Okay, those are either AI pictures or stock photos of a lion with a little cub. Those are not, nobody's taken a photo of it, and that's the problem with media. Not social media, media. Well, here's a picture. If we're telling a story, we got to have a picture on the screen. Let's put a picture of a lion up there. See, there's a photo when somebody's watching.
Shouldn't
the media for
the
you.
red flag have been, there's supposed to be these drone pictures, but nobody's produced a drone picture.
Probably a heat signal or something like that.
It's just ridiculous.
Probably a cougar. All right, Wino Gina. This morning I was deep in thought about these lions, and my husband was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I just have so many questions about these lions.
Well,
I think we've answered those.
They may not exist.
They may not, Wino Gina.
Okay, real
I
quick.
think that's what she was getting
Before, speaking of somebody who does exist, that's Anthony Gary with Indy Dwell Real Estate. And he doesn't just show houses. He finds you homes with everything you're looking for, explains your options, and gets your offer accepted without using sleep or sanity. Anthony's an expert negotiator ready to help you achieve your real estate goals. Put Anthony's expert buying strategy and experience to work for you. Call or text Anthony Gary. Indy Dwell Real Estate, 317-756-1159, 317-756-1159.
All right. Charles Luty did point out that Gen Z does start with 1997. What was the point of that story?
We were talking about how like a third of the people who voted for Trump from Gen Z now say they regret their Trump vote.
Ah, okay. Boom, boom. Shrog Sandwich. Trump's renaming on Lake Ontario is an intentional distraction. The flock cameras will be replaced with another brand. We have to stay on top of our demands. No cameras, no matter what.
Bingo.
Everything comes back to the flock cameras.
That's right.
All right. Rusty B, the YouTube chat is always fire. I may start the chat here at 1 o'clock, at 12:30. May be able to do it from here. So for all you chatters, it'll either be 12:30 or 1:30. I may have to wait till I get home. I think I can do it here. I'll get the chat started after we get the interview with the governor, and we'll get that popped in there, and maybe we can get that. We'll give you a break. You guys need to take a social media break after the show.
Yeah.
For like 15, 20 minutes, and then start checking back, and we can have the chat that will extend all the way through Monday's show. Now we're speaking about Stewart.
Stuart Mora.
Stewie.
Indiana Organization Project.
Think his mom called him Stewie?
Probably not.
All right.
He seems like a Stewart. He went to Notre Dame.
All right. Spray jockey, I have never heard of a suicidal 4-year-old. He's talking about the traumatic things that the 4-year-olds... I don't think he said suicidal. Bob Schwarm, Biden and the Dems created this problem. If you don't let them in, you don't have to worry about getting them out.
And he kind of acknowledged it, right? He was like...
Kind of. He was slow to acknowledge. I told him when he left, I'm like, dude, they're going to roast you in the chat. Just so you know, you may not want to read the chat. He's like, I got a thick skin. I hope he does, because we're going to lay it out here.
I mean, the obvious thing that they don't want to answer is, what do you do with all these people?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they want to say we just let them stay, which is
they're tax-paying, law-abiding citizens. What do we? They cross the border. Jaywalking's a misdemeanor too.
Look, and the other thing is with the temporary people, you come here knowing your status is temporary. And the problem is, we didn't have time to get into it because I didn't want to, do an hour with the interview. A lot of people have taken that temporary status and then they've inserted themselves as permanent U.S. residents.
Temporary includes the rest of my life.
Right. I mean, it's like the people he's talking about, the businesses and stuff. It's like, okay, but you came here as a temporary status. The premise of that, the asylum people, is you're fleeing some sort of imminent harm. And as soon as the imminent harm is over, it doesn't mean you don't like where you came from. Mm-hmm. That's not the status, right? You gots to go back. And if you chose to make the business and everything else, well, that's on you, man.
Jake Renner, being a criminal impacts your family, not law enforcement. It's accountability. So when you're the one that commits the crime and the child suffers, it's not, people get arrested every day and go to prison. American citizens get arrested, go to prison. Their children are without a father or a mother. That's why should illegal immigrants not... Why do their children not suffer the same fate?
Now, I will say, I do think he's very genuine that they care about the conditions of that prison, and he's concerned about the people in the prison. Mm-hmm. I think they would be much better served. They're not going to shut the prison down, right? Mm-hmm. And the idea of saying, that's what you want, I think you'd be better served trying to get better conditions.
They're saying they don't want ICE in the prison.
Oh, it is.
They're not worried about the conditions of the prisoners.
Because I haven't seen any prayer vigil days for all the other prisoners, right? Mm-hmm. So I think if that was they would get further just trying to get the conditions improved in the prison rather than we want the thing shut down, because that's not happening.
Driver, if you did a crime 30 years ago and got away with it, do you still get away with no punishment? There we go. A lot of serial killers get caught 30 years later. And again, it's a misdemeanor coming across the border. Murder is a felony. It's different, but same thing. Jack Renner, stop detaining, start deporting. Problem solved.
Yeah, and we got into that. I said, look, if you just throw these people back where they came from when they get in here,
right?
No problem.
Right.
I don't have to detain you.
That way, the argument of, well, they've been here for 30 years, that they don't even know what's going on in their home country. Their home country was the key. 30 years ago, they knew what was going on. Could have sent them back the day after they got here, and they would have still been able to assimilate back in their own country.
The one thing he didn't really want to answer was, I said, look, if you don't send these people back, you're sending a message to the next time a Democrat is president, which will happen.
Absolutely.
And they're going to open those borders up again, and these people are going to know if you get here, then the Republicans can't ever throw you back. I mean, you broke the law coming here. Mm-hmm. You broke the temporary people. I got no sympathy for them either, because you came knowing it was temporary. Mm-hmm. It's like sleeping on your friend's couch, right? Mm-hmm. You don't live there. You're just there till you can get on your feet or get your house fixed or whatever. Mm-hmm. You don't have some right to live there.
Well, technically, if you're there 2 weeks, you have to evict them. You can't tell them to leave. So, that's how screwed up the government is. The old man 68, how is it that we are more concerned about good/free medical care for illegal immigrants than disabled veterans and U.S. citizens? Yeah, you got a lot of dying U.S. citizens out there that can't afford cancer treatment or insulin, things like that. But so he didn't address that. The old man 68. What part of temporary doesn't this guy understand? It can be stripped away at any time. Hence, temporary.
Yeah, But look, here's the thing. And somebody told me this last night. They said that they don't agree with me politically. They said, I love your show because you give everybody a voice. That's what we do here.
You do.
We and I've had this conversation with numerous conservative people who are like, I can't believe you this. Remember the one guy, I can't believe you would have a socialist on your show.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's what we're supposed to do in the media.
Right.
We're supposed to.
Your family didn't come from communism.
We interview interesting people. I believe the audience is smart enough to figure it out clearly based on the YouTube comments.
Let's just put our head in the sand and act like they don't exist.
Yeah, it's like,
that's much better.
It's entertaining. Our job, our number one job, is to entertain you. That's what we do here.
No, it's to be a cheerleader, Rob.
First and foremost, entertain, and then we educate.
Yes. Upland Sandy, thanks for the conversation. There you go.
You're adults. You should be able to. You should be able to hear.
She did not say I agree with you or I agree with Stuart. She said thanks for the conversation.
That's what we do.
She liked seeing both sides there. Andy Engel, and I also remember hearing of frequent attacks on Border Patrol agents.
Yeah.
Yes, all these upstanding, fine citizens coming in, just looking for a better life, beating up and doing other things to Border Patrol agents.
Now, again, I want to clarify, be specific. I think he's rooted in good intentions. I think he's trying to help people.
That blinds them sometimes.
What's that?
But it blinds them sometimes to
But
the
I don't think he's
reality.
a bad guy. I think he genuinely wants to help people, and I think he sees something and he says somebody needs to do something about it.
I mean, they're here. They're human beings. They need compassion and they need care, things like that. Yeah, they do, and they're not any less of a person than we are. But the point is, our tax money's paying for this services, paying for. If they had never come across in the first place, they wouldn't be in this position.
And I'm not buying all the guards are racist and they're pepper spraying people for no reason.
It happens. Things happen in prisons, of course.
Sure, but there's it's like, people always get on the NFL guys or the NBA guys when one of them gets arrested. It's like the overwhelming majority of those guys are great citizens, right? You can't paint everybody with a broad brush. There are certainly probably bad actors in any business. I mean, you're the bad actor in our business.
Yeah,
you're here every day.
Fully, admit to it.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
If people were if there were just racist insults being hurled down the halls every day and people were getting just pepper sprayed the media would have been alerted to it and it would be exposés in a New York Times and a Washington Post and everything else.
No, I'm not saying like in the state prisons and federal prisons that there's not bad guards and beatings and things. Yeah, there are, and that needs to be rooted out. Although, it seems like you'd have cameras. Well, that little hallway didn't have a camera there. Okay, whatever. But ICE facilities are very, very, very scrutinized under the magnifying glass right now.
Yes.
You're not just going to walk through. Maybe I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. You've got no proof. It's just what you're reading on social media. Charles Ludi, and you think that the detainees aren't going to make false claims on treatment by corrections officers? They hate law enforcement. Well, they're locked up. So, yeah, honest as the day is long.
You have no right to be in this country if you don't follow the law. None. So thus, to me, I would be stricter
about it. We should
about
deport American citizens that don't follow the law.
You don't have rights, period, if you break the law to come into our country.
Jay, Indiana. 30 years on temporary. 30 years to try and become an American citizen. Why didn't she? He was talking about the lady that'd been here for 30 years, and it's like she's not an American. You didn't bother to try to go through the process?
Well, and I'm not disputing that these people may contribute to the economy. They may own businesses. They may be fine individuals. But either...
So are serial killers. They continue to work and pay taxes till they get caught.
Well, but I'm not saying these people are even committing crimes other than the crime of being in the country illegally. But if you're on a temporary status, it's not illegal, but when you come here, it's temporary.
In Obama's first term, who held the House for 2 years?
The Democrats did.
Who held the Senate for 2 years?
The Democrats did.
Who was the president?
The Democrats.
2 years.
Yeah.
We don't see any reason to change the law. Let's wait, and then with something to complain about when the Republicans are in power.
Government never fixes anything because if you fix it, then you can't campaign on it.
Had the votes, could have got rid of a filibuster, easily passed all those, could have said open border. Everybody's allowed. They could have done anything they wanted. All right, Sue Seifert. Oh, yeah, Sue Seifert. I'd like him to go walk into damn near any other country undeclared and see how that goes.
It's a fair point.
Yeah, but this is America. Kenneth E. Gold, is this guy Jesse Brown's brother?
They're buddies. They're friends. Although I think he's a little more reasonable than Brown.
Okay. The old man 68. Don't put words into his mouth. I believe he's a pastor. Maybe, maybe not. He says, no pastors that I know of support this crap that he's spewing.
Yeah,
made it sound like it's
leaders.
I
mean, some of them are probably our pastors. I mean, it's a wide swath of people, but I mean, you cannot run a society just letting anybody come and go as they please. You cannot run a society that way.
Mm-hmm. Driver, does this logic hold up for other crimes? Nope. Sue Seifert, I'd like him to go walk. Okay, we did that one. We did Jesse Brown. We did the old man. Driver, if I steal food, this is Driver, if I steal food to feed my family, but then pay a fine when I have the money to the shop owner, does that make it legal? You committed the crime, and you go back and, so yeah, I mean, if the shop owner doesn't want to press charges, okay, but technically you've broken the law.
Yeah.
And you could be charged. Which is what he's saying. Josh Richardson, this guy is playing dumb. This is silly at this point. He did seem to kind of lock up toward the end of the interview where it's just like, I'm not going to, the reality is hitting me and Rob's making too much sense, but I'm just going to go back to, hey, compassion.
So I get this from people all the time about how my interviews are different from the way we do the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've always viewed interviewing as the guest is the star. It's my job to ask them questions and say things that will prompt conversation. If you notice, when I interview, a lot of times it gets a little more adventurous the more we go along because I want to give them every opportunity to say their piece. I don't want, I don't want them to walk out of here going, I didn't get an opportunity to make my case, right?
No, you give them 30 minutes.
Yeah, and so you look at, it's like a crescendo, right? I always let it build up where, it gets a little more fun with about 10 minutes to go because you've had every opportunity to win me over. And you get your piece and you get your say, and then those final 10 minutes, he wasn't as nearly as thrilled. He was a hell of a nice guy, though.
Yeah, he is. A very nice guy, but he was ready to go there after, the about 2/3 of the way through. He was coming back full circle. Chris C. Mills, I wasn't able to chat, but my blood was boiling when he was saying, quote, there's no people trying to come in illegally. That was the thing. He was trying to bypass the whole fact that it's against the law. Well, that's irrelevant. The point is they're here. Okay, but the point is they shouldn't be here, and we have a remedy for that by having them not be here. Well, no, that's where you're incompassionate. That's they're already here. We own them. That's it's like they stepped foot. So, and that's not the way.
Well, he was also trying to
it.
say that we could stop 99% of the people who are trying to get in the country illegally right now, and I don't think that either. And
yeah, you said we're basically closed.
Yeah, I mean, and
Trump has said let's try to do that, but it's not done.
The one thing that did piss me off is when he tried to play kind of silly on the citizenship process. Like, I was like, come on, man.
Right.
You know how this
it's
works.
Almost like he didn't realize there was a process to become a legal citizen. It's like not everybody's illegal. We get that. The old man 68, he doesn't want to speak in specifics when he makes unfounded claims about ICE detention centers, but wants Rob to give a specific name of a person.
Like, I hang out with a bunch of TPS people and illegal immigrants.
All right.
All my friends, all my Haitian friends.
Right. Jake Renner, one of these undocumented hard workers smashed into my truck last month with no insurance. Sound familiar, Rob?
Yeah, it sure does. Good point.
Can you guess what happened? Nothing.
Exactly.
She walked away, and I got the bill.
Exactly. I mean,
you could have told the same exact
Now, I don't know whether this guy was a legal citizen or not. What I do know is that the guy who slammed through my garage door, he showed insurance to the cops, and my insurance company said, that don't exist in our world. And then the cops told me, the only thing we can do is we can cite him. We'll send it to his house. When he reapplies for his driver's license, they'll hopefully get him then. And it's like, then why the hell does anybody have insurance?
When he reapplies for his driver's license, a driver's license now, like 6 years.
It's like, unless he gets in an accident or he gets pulled over, there's nothing. And he's probably still out driving around for these companies.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a little sensitive to it. It costs me a lot of money.
And how is the company not in trouble or on the hook for paying for that?
You know what's wild? Because he was driving for a third-party group.
Right.
You can't contact them. I've tried to find a contact for these people, and you can't contact them.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
That should be a law. Almond Joy Tempo. Stewart is kind of cute, but I can't believe he said all that with a straight face. There you go.
You know what's weird? Like, I'd never met him in person. I just know him off social media and through emailing. And he it must be an older picture that he has for his Facebook.
What, was he not as cute? Or
no, he just didn't. Like he was at the door, go down to let him in. And I'm like, who the hell are you? Oh, you're the same guy.
Courtesy, Rob. Tony, Indiana. My sink is clogged. Who do I call?
Black Sheep Plumbing.
Black Sheep Plumbing. 765-315-7558.
Bam.
Kevin Branham. Thanks for the third hour, John Rust.
Excellent.
We're into the third hour now. Josh Richardson.
Real quick before, since we made it to the third hour.
Sure, go ahead.
You guys got a masonry color mismatch. Previous repair catching your eye. Not happy with the brick color in your home and ready for a total makeover. Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants offer specialized masonry staining and recoloring. Whether you want to seamlessly blend repairs or completely transform your home's exterior, you want to build something new, Bramwell Mackay's 40-year master masons design and construct custom patios, sidewalks, outdoor summer kitchens, archways, entryways, and more. Bramwell Mackay, beauty built to endure.
Old Man 68, while I was listening to this segment, my wife kept asking me what was wrong. Is your blood pressure rising there a little bit, old man?
I knew.
Happens to the best of us. Yes?
I knew. My phone's ringing over there. I could hear it vibrating on that.
Phone's off, Rob. Turn the phones off during the segments.
That's funny.
Okay.
All right.
That was your point. Okay, Kevin Branham, thanks for the third hour, John Rust. Josh Richardson, John Rust, the boss. Driver, third hour. Thank you, John Rust. Steve Green. Well, no, I'm sorry. Nice to be Green with an E. That would be
Steve's
Mrs.
wife.
The better half, Mrs. Green with an E. Thanks for the third hour, Mr. Rust. The Old Man 68. Thanks for the third hour, John. And Wino Gina. Thanks, Mr. Rust. Everybody appreciates Mr. John Rust. We also appreciate John McKinney, Black Sheep Plumbing, and let's see. That'll. So yeah, we need to get ready for this interview. Rob did not bring the vacuum cleaner in, so hopefully the governor will not come in and be.
I think he knows what he's coming into. If he doesn't, it's on his kid. The kid's been here a couple times. He should have told him.
That's right.
This is not the Rogan studio.
All right. So I tell you what, guys, like I said, I'm going to try to get the chat up here. I'm going to try to do it like in 15 minutes. Let's see if I can do it right after 12 o'clock or so before the governor gets in. If not, it'll be 12:30. If not, I got to go home, and it'll be like 1:30, something like that. But it's going to be early. We're going to have a magnificent weekend.
I'll give you the title. Evan By joins.
Evan By joins. That's the title. That'll be it. Look for that, guys. And we'll see if we can do that just for you chatters, because we love you so much. You're half the show here. Actually, maybe even more than half, but we're not going to quibble. All right, that's going to do it for me. I'll see you on Monday. Thanks to John Rust. Thanks to John McKinney, Black Sheep Plumbing, and turn it back over to Rob. So long, everybody.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up just a little bit early today. I want to thank you guys for another amazing week. You guys are awesome. The best darn audience in all of the land. If you haven't done so yet before you leave today, hit that little thumbs up button. Really helps us grow the show. Thanks to all of our sponsors who make this show possible, including Bramwell Mackay, of course, the great John Rust, Anthony Gary with Indy Dwell Real Estate, Black Sheep Plumbing, AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning, Double D's Barbecue, Honeysuckle Hill Bistro, Gary Tedrow, All American Dog Fence. How about that? I think I got them all there. Bam. Sometimes I even impress myself. You guys have an awesome, amazing weekend. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. We will see you back here Monday, 9 until noon, The Rob Kendall Show. For producer Jason, I'm Rob Kendall. You've been listening to The Rob Kendall Show.